Hello, could everybody please begin to take their seats? Could everybody please take their seats? Could everyone please take their seats so we can begin the meeting, please? Thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to ask all of you to consider remembering in your prayers the family and colleagues of Trooper Kevin Trainer, who was killed this morning in the line of duty. If you please keep him and his family in your prayers, please. Thank you. I'm going to, before we begin the meeting, I'm going to take a minute of personal privilege. And maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to. So on the first night of town meeting, I made a few references that the tone of the comments should be a little more civil. At the beginning of the second night, someone disagreed with me and showed me a ruling regarding the Barron case. This case reflected upon free speech at an open comment period at a select board meeting and basically said you can say whatever you want. This morning, another individual texted me a summary of the same case because I assume they feel they can say whatever they want. In my opinion, the harsh tone of discourse has been unnecessary and in some cases toxic. The ad hominem attacks and distrust of your neighbors and town officials is counterproductive. It makes for a very unpleasant session. Intimidating speakers by booing is rude and hampers free exchange of ideas. I've heard from people both inside the hall and those watching at home that it is very undesirable. I find it disturbing, and I know that others do also. While the Barron case does not excuse disrespectful behavior, and I will continue to use my discretion to encourage people at the town meeting as a legislative body to continue with civil discourse. And if you're sitting here thinking, as I'm talking about this, that I might be talking about you, chances are I am. We're going to go with a test question again, just to make sure that everything is good. As I've mentioned the last couple of nights, when you're voting in the affirmative, you hit yes. When you're voting in the negative, you hit no. When you first begin to vote, if you hit either the yes or no button, you should see an OK coming up on the right-hand corner of this little screen. If you don't see that happening, please let us know so we can get a clicker that's working properly in your hands. It doesn't help if you wait until the vote's called to do that, because then it's a little bit too late. So why don't we go with the test question just to see how things are playing out. If we could put it up, please. We're going to put up a test question, please, George. Well, I can tell you what the question is. All right, so the test question tonight, answer yes if it's true or no if it's not. Do you sing in the shower when you're home alone? I'm going to open the voting for 30 seconds. The voting is now open. The voting will close in 5 seconds. The voting is now closed. With 75 voting yes, and is this complete? 75 voting yes and 90 in the negative. I doubt that vote, but so it is. First article, please.
Mr. Moderator, Mr. Moderator,
Whoever you are, yes.
Randy Gould, 2 Cushing Street. On the
You
first,
have a point of order, Mr. Gould?
I guess it is. The first night of the meeting, we were talking about the school budget, and I had a question. Mr. Buckley was supposed to get back to me.
I think it was Mr. Jetty who was getting back to you, if I'm not mistaken, but
All right.
somebody was.
I was just wondering what the outcome was for what the school department receives in rental of the North River Collaborative, whoever's in there. I was just wondering what the money, what the amount was and what do they use it for?
Allowing an answer on that, but I'm not going to allow a debate on it.
Right.
I apologize, Mr. Gould. I thought we had gotten the answer to you, but it's $180,000 in revenue that the school district receives. That goes into a maintenance fund, and it also goes toward the turf field replacement.
Thank you.
First article, please. Article 22 can be found on page 10 of the warrant. This article relates to roadway paving. Moved by the town manager that $400,000 is appropriated for the purpose of planning, engineering, paving, site improvements, drainage, sidewalk, landscaping, signage, and equipment and costs incidental or related thereto, that the town manager is authorized to contract for and expend any grants and gifts or other aid available for the project, which shall be expended in addition to the amount appropriated by this vote. That to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the select board, is authorized to borrow $400,000 under Chapter 44 of the general laws or any other enabling authority, and that the select board is authorized to take any other action necessary or convenient to carry out these projects. That was moved by the town manager. Is there a second? Made and seconded. Town manager, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This $400,000 would help cover roads consistent with the pavement management plan that were not covered under the initial road bond. And the planned roads include, but maybe not be limited to, Spring Street, Willow Street, Summit, Reef Point, Ocean, Elm, Lafayette, and Crest. Thank you.
Advisory board, please.
I think we all know that roads in town need attention. These are roads, I think, that were in the original pavement management plan that due to the escalating costs of paving and asphalt were not able to be completed. So this is a chance to try to catch up with that. I believe there will be more pavement management plan in the future that will address even more roads. But I think one thing that we learned that I think I was a little bit surprised by was that they don't just show up and start paving all of town. They have kind of section by section that they can only do so much for the town of Hull in the summer. So this will try to get us caught up with the pavement management plan that's in place and get us ready to take on a new plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frady. Any discussion? To my right, please.
Mr. Moderator, to the town manager, what were those streets again? Oh, Randy Gould. Thanks, Peter, who just came back from the Caribbean.
Spring Street, Willow Street, Summit, Reef Point, Ocean, Elm, Lafayette, and Crest.
Is this a personal dig? What happened to Cushing Street?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes. I think we just had the streets listed. Perhaps Cushing would be on the next time. Maybe my street will be on the next time too, I hope. Any additional discussion? Off to my left, please.
C.N. Murray, 1 Summit Avenue, and yes, I am on one of those streets. Those were streets that were supposed to be done as far as the road debt exclusion that we approved at the ATM in 2018. And I know that my street was on the last year of that, which was FY '23. So I hope those who have already had their streets paved, and we help support you, that you will help support us and finish those priority streets from the original beta report. Thank you very much.
Any additional discussion? In the center, please.
Vincent Fanuelli, 16 Lafayette Road, Hull Village. The Cushing Street is smack in the middle of the other streets that were mentioned in that list. If you look at the street, it's deteriorating like the others. To eliminate that would be with all the machinery there and everything there, and it's a very short street. It connects right to, all these streets, by the way, connect to Spring. In the list that I saw on the website, I think they must have gone down there and checked the distance, but the original distance was literally from the sewer treatment plant all the way down to Ocean. And that's not really the case. But in any case, back to Cushing. It's a spoke street off of Spring. To neglect it with all the machinery would be really a waste of money. The street is in bad shape, probably not as bad as Willow, which is right opposite, and the other streets there, but it's in terrible shape, so I would really think of including that into the list. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else standing to speak?
Mr. Moderator?
Seeing nobody else is standing,
Mr. Moderator?
I'm just coming to recognize you right now.
Thank you.
I was going to explain, because nobody else was standing, that you could speak for a second time.
Randy Gould, 2 Cushing Street. Ditto, and I usually plow that street in the wintertime.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Seeing no one standing, the vote will come on the motion for $400,000 for the purpose of funding, planning, engineering, paving, site improvements, drainage, sidewalk, landscaping, signage, and associated costs associated with the road paving effort. This is a 2/3 vote. I'm going to open the voting. We're voting right now for 30 seconds. If you're in favor of the expenditure of $400,000, please indicate by voting yes. If you're opposed, by voting no. Voting is now open. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. By a vote of 134 to 10, it is a 2/3 vote, and Article 22 passes. Next article, please. Article 23 on page 10 of the warrant. Moved by the town manager, $300,000 is appropriated for the purpose of continuing the house sanitary landfill assessment and closure, including all costs incidental or related thereto. That to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the select board, is authorized to borrow $300,000 under Chapter 44 of the general laws or any other enabling authority, and that the select board is authorized to take any other action necessary or convenient to carry out this project. Motion was made by the town manager. Is there a second? Second. Town manager, please.
Thank you. This $300,000 would cover costs associated with planning for the closure of the landfill here in Hull. It would include regulatory and technical assistance, annual compliance monitoring, which is an annual requirement, and beginning of Concom permitting, submission of a notice of intent, and that would be for supplemental test pits on the portion of the landfill that has already been capped. And the ultimate closure of the landfill is anticipated for 2032, but this is the next step in the process.
Thank you. Advisory Board, please.
And Chad Wolf, Vice Chair of the Advisory Board. We don't have too much more to add in addition to that, but just to underscore that this is one step in a multi-step process to, ultimately permanently cap and close this landfill.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none,
Abby Kleeman, Kenton Avenue. My understanding is that there was money set aside for Phase 2 of this years and years ago, and I'm just wondering what happened to that money, because there was supposed to be a Phase 1 and a Phase 2 a decade or two ago. And it would be interesting to see the balance sheet on this.
is there anybody able to answer that question?
Or we don't have a balance sheet with us on hand, but there was a portion of the landfill that has already been capped. This is right now about a, I believe, 8-year process. So there are a number of steps, and it will be funded in each phase of the closure.
I know that there was a portion that was capped. I also know that there was money allocated for the remainder of the project.
Do you know the remainder, what specific step or what the amount was that you're looking to see, if it was expended or not?
I'd like
So
to
that we can
see-
get an answer to your question.
I'd like to understand how much money specifically was allocated and what happened to that money.
Mike?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Buckley, Town Accountant. This is a process that's been going on for decades, and it probably will go on for another 10 years or so. And every 2-3 years, we have to appropriate money to keep the process going. There's a balance of approximately $300,000 from previous borrowing authorizations, and there is a budget next year of $600,000 to meet compliance with DEP and keep the project going along. So from that $600,000, we have $300,000 on hand, and we're asking you for another $300,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buckley. In the center, please.
Lisa French, 47 Rockaway. I understand that there's an annual testing that happens, and there's a fee. I understand there's a sizable fee for that monitoring. Can you say how much that is that's a consistent yearly cost for just the monitoring?
$104,000.
Thanks.
To my right, please.
Celia Nolan, 26 South Cedar Road. Recognizing that this is still in the very early stages, I just have a question since the word design was used and, it's never too early to start future planning. So has there been any thought to the use of this land when it's capped? Or at what stage of the process would that happen? Or is this the kind of thing where it would just need to remain open land? I know that in Milford, their former landfill is like a park and a sports complex. Also, I know that ours is abutting a nature conservancy, so it's a completely different situation. But I was just wondering what kind of future planning has been part of this process so far, or will be shortly.
At this stage, Celia, we're open to ideas. It's not unusual for a company to approach the town with a specific landfill project, so we're taking in them as they come. There hasn't been any dedicated or committed planning for the closure yet, because we're a few years out, and I think we need to better understand what can be placed on the landfill, what the landfill itself can sustain.
On my left, please.
Cindy Borges, Nantasket Avenue. It says to borrow $300,000, so do we have this money, or are you borrowing this?
We'd be borrowing it.
Okay.
Any additional discussion? Seeing no one else standing, the vote will come on the motion to appropriate $300,000 for purposes of funding the continuing Hull sanitary landfill assessment and closure project. This requires a 2/3 vote, as it's a bonding issue. Voting is now going to be open and is open for 30 seconds. If you're in favor of this article, please indicate by checking yes. If not, vote no. Voting is open. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. By a vote of 140 to 33, the motion passes. Article 23 passes by a 2/3 vote. Next article, please. Article 28 can be found on page 12 of the warrant. Moved by the town manager, the town transfer $450,000 from sewer department retained earnings to the sewer department capital emergency replacement reserve account. Is there a second to the motion? Second. Motion is made and seconded. Discussion, please. Mr. Struzeri.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and good evening, everyone. John Struzeri, Director of Wastewater Operations in 20 Sunset Avenue. What this article does is we're asking to transfer $450,000 to our capital emergency reserve account. As part of our enterprise fund, we're required to bring in sufficient revenue to meet our operating expenses, as well as have sufficient reserves, retained earnings, so in case of emergencies or other capital expenditures. So in order to provide that transfer, we need to have town meeting approval. This money would be put in the capital reserve, emergency reserve account, be used for capital expenditures in the future, or for emergency, depending on what the situation may be, and hopefully build up that capital reserve for other projects as they come along. So I ask for your support. Thank you.
Advisory board, please.
So Chad Wolf, Vice Chair of the Advisory Board, I think there are 2 points in addition to what Mr. Struzeri said that we want to really emphasize for people. The first is that this transfer of funds from the account will not impact rates, that the town individuals pay. And 2, just to flag that this will help in the event that there is an unforeseen expense or repair needed to be able to move more quickly because the funding or some of the funding will already be readily available to work on those projects. So the advisory board is in support of this.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion for Article 28 of the transfer of $450,000 from the sewer department return earnings to the sewer department emergency capital fund. Voting is now open. Voting will be open for 30 seconds. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. I voted 188 in the affirmative, 14 in the negative. Article 28 is passed.
Thank you.
Next article, please. Article 16 can be found on page 8 of the warrant. Moved by the town manager. Move that the town will vote to authorize the select board to accept an easement from 197, from 197 owner limit liability corporation, or successor and or assign being a public use and access easement over a portion of 0 George Washington Boulevard, parcel ID 37-002, parentheses 179-189, Nantasket Ave parcel 37-004, and 193-197, Nantasket Ave parcel 37-003, as shown on an easement plan entitled Paragon 191 Nantasket Avenue. Is there a second to the motion? Made and second. Discussion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Chris Diorio, Town Planner. There are a couple of slides that go along with this article, if you could pull those up. So this article really gives the Select Board the ability to accept an easement that from the developers of Paragon. Right now, if you've driven by, you see that they're putting the overhead wires underground. They have offered to put in an empty conduit in addition to the other conduits that are for all the other utilities. This empty conduit, they're providing an easement to the town so that the Select Board, in the event of some kind of new carrier or utility, that empty conduit is there. So that's really what they're offering to the town. So I think that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Advisory Board, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bob Carney, 45 Farina Road, member of this fun-loving advisory board. I'm going to keep the cadence going here. Simply put, this provides the town with easement infrastructure for future needs with no acquisition cost or detriment. We urge favorable action on this. Thank you.
Additional discussion? On my right, please.
Beverly Carlin, 30 Channel Street.
Speak into the mic, please.
I'm short. Beverly Carlin, 30 Channel Street. So my question is this just a slice of land for the conduits, or is this more than that for an easement? Because my understanding is that when they came before the town and got approval to build there, that they were going to take care of any of the open space land. And now I'm just questioning, is that open space land that they were supposed to, you know, offer to the town on their kindness is being given back to us?
No, it's not any component of the open space, of the required open space. It's the land that sits between the DCR lot and the parking lot. It's currently where the overhead wires are. So it's, you know, it's basically going right underneath that, but
Okay,
it's not
great.
losing any open space now.
All right, thanks.
Additional discussion on my left, please.
Susan Vermillion, 17 East Street. Just wanted to ask, when I first saw this, I thought this was the art walk, but it's not?
There's two easements that are being proposed to come to the town. One is for the art walk. This one's just for the conduit.
Okay, all right. So my second question is who's going to maintain the property if they own it and they're granting a conveyance to us for this? Who's going to be maintaining?
It's their property maintained.
So they have to maintain it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you.
On my left, please.
Cindy Borges, Nantasket Avenue. I'm a member of the planning board, speaking as a citizen. So Article 16, it shows 3 parcels on the article, and in the grant of easement, it only shows 1 parcel. And it shows 190, it says 3 parcels and other street addresses are also listed, but not on the grant of easement. And it's identified as part of 197 Nantasket premises, which is only 717 plus or minus square feet. So can you point out where the 717 square feet is?
If you're talking about the language to the easement, that's still being worked on by town council's office in there.
Okay, as a, from the town council, actually, from an email from the town council, says the role of the planning board in this easement, status of the current easement, and the timeline of the finalization by select board. The planning board is not part of the conveyance or acceptance of a real estate interest. The planning board's only role would be to review the easement for compliance with its decision. which as a board, we have not done. I don't feel comfortable with this easement. The conditions have it was a modification from the first one. The first condition was underground utilities 24, and it said, in addition to the proposed underground relocation of electrical utilities adjacent to the building, the applicant shall use best efforts to work with Hull Municipal Light regarding underground relocation of off-site electrical utilities pursuant to a cost-sharing agreement. And I don't know, do you know about that cost-sharing agreement?
I know they have worked with Hull Light to, get to the stage they are right now, putting the wires underground.
Okay, because I don't think that that's,
This easement was never part of the planning board approval. This is something that was separate after.
well, it's been on our agenda a couple times, so is there, and I was told the purpose was for us to review it for seeing
Yep,
if it's
I just-
against the conditions. Are you saying that that wasn't why it was presented to us?
Yep, it wasn't part of the conditions. I just trying to keep you guys up to date.
Okay, I have more comments on the other article that I'll make then.
On my right, please.
Beverly Carlin, 30 Channel Street. So from what you just said, I may have heard incorrectly. You're asking the town to approve for the town to accept a parcel for easement for conduits that hasn't been defined. And actually, thank you for the previous, it's asking for actually 3 parcels in this article. You said 1.
They're giving the town an easement to use a conduit that they're putting underground.
That's really good, but I have owned a home with an easement. The easement is actually plotted, it's defined, and that is the easement. It is one easement that is plotted out. You have 3 different parcels here. So that's 3 easements. So 3 parcels is just a little skitty part underneath a light pole? And you don't even know what it actually is as far as footage, acreage, yard inches? How are we supposed, we're going to accept something that we don't even know what it is? I think that's kind of, when we talked about all last night about going over things and making it specifically clear so people understood what we were voting for, so we didn't go back and back and back, or come back and find out that we did the wrong thing because it was written incorrectly. This is exactly what we're talking about. I vote no on this till you guys know what you're doing and you can print it out.
On my left, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bartley Kelly, 276 Atlantic Ave. Based on what I can see, the 3 parcel numbers are the parcels that are shown up on the board. That's the entire property that's owned by Paragon Procopio's project. They put all the utilities that were on the poles underground. They're offering to give us an extra conduit for future needs for utilities. They're granting an easement to the town. They're doing the work right now, and they're offering to put an extra conduit in for free. And so if we deny this, we're not going to get the extra conduit. So if in 5 years we get an extra line in town as a backup line to help feed the town for redundancy, now we're going to have to go dig it up, put a pipe in the ground, and sink it where it's sunk there. We're getting something for nothing, and you guys want to fight it. I don't get it. I ask you to vote for this.
On my right, please.
James Canavan, 116 Manamet Ave. I would say ditto to what we just heard. If I'm reading this correctly, this is simply granting us the ability to grant the Board of Selectmen permission to authorize them to accept the easement. And then it also references at the bottom to take appropriate action with other boards and commissions. So I don't think it's excluding any board or commission from this process. Simply says, we're going to give you an easement, and they simply say, okay, let us do our work. Yes, we'll accept it. Thank you very much. So I urge favorable action.
In the center, please.
Lisa French, 47 Rockaway. I'm concerned about the process with this, and as other people have said, I'm concerned about the fact that we don't know if the language in the easement itself or the deed or grant of easement, if we don't know that that's accurate, I don't know that we should be so confident that it will turn out the way that we think it will, because I've seen mistakes in the past. I understand completely the idea of what it is, a conduit, an extra conduit underneath their land. It's perfect, it's great, it's wonderful. But I think that we need to make sure that it actually happens, and I'm concerned about the fact that there is, suddenly I've become aware that there's going to be a cost-sharing agreement. I followed this project when this was being discussed in the planning board from the start. And I know that when they discussed the conditions and all the way through, when it came back to the planning board, the public were led to believe that the applicant would be paying for this line, this underground line. Now, this cost-sharing thing, that concerns me. I don't know how much it is. I guess I'm just learning that it's going to be negotiated with the light plant, but like we ratepayers, we're going to be paying for that. So I would love it if it was really clear that this is a gift. That would be great. I would be so supportive. But I'm concerned about the process and the actual documentation.
On the, my left, please. If there's nobody else preparing to speak on this.
Cindy Borges, Nantasket Avenue. So there's quite a few errors in the draft grant of easement. I emailed it before the town server changed, so that was months ago. I emailed and asked if they could look at this because there's references that don't belong in it on a different article, but it doesn't change the fact that when I did request that the applicant or the owners, whoever produced this and gave it to Chris, this would be from Brodsky's office, that they will fix it after. I am not comfortable with things being fixed after the fact. They had plenty of time to fix it now and make it correct. They reference something that doesn't exist in there, and we're just supposed to accept this. So I ask that of course, if something is here and it's for free, that would be great, but we should have the correct documentation. The advisory board should be provided with a grant of easement and make sure that that language is correct. It has all the select board members, this is all ready to be signed, but I'm told that it could be, it will change. I mean, yeah, so I made that clear that if they couldn't produce a corrected version, that I would not be comfortable voting. And I don't understand how anybody can feel comfortable voting on something that's going to change. We're being asked to vote on something that's going to change. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
On my right, please.
I'll defer to Chris, Bob Carney, Advisory Board. I apologize if I was short earlier. I'm not sure I fully understand the debate, even though I've heard and understand what you've said. This is to accept an easement. The easement isn't done. It isn't prepared. The select board, town council, and all the appropriate boards will see what the easement said. That's the easement area. It's going to be an empty conduit. To the extent there's a cost-sharing agreement, that would come after the town decides to use the conduit, as Mr. Kelly said, in the future, if another line goes in there. This is the proverbial gift horse. Yes, you should look it in the mouth, but we've looked it in the mouth. This is a gift of a free easement. Once the easement is drafted, the town council will look at it, the select board will accept it, change it. That's what we have town council for. We're not surveyors, we're not legal representatives. Please let the action take place, but allow the select board to move forward to accept this gift. Thank you.
In the center, please.
Pat Cormier, Village. I just want to also add that if we don't pass this to accept it, then this project's going to move forward, and we can't wait for it to be finalized because we would have to wait for the next town meeting to be able to accept it. So there are time constraints involved here, and as the advisory board has said and others have said, this is something that will cost the town nothing, that allows us to be prepared for the future. Please vote yes.
In the center, please.
Thank you. A question. Oh, sorry. Patricia Lambert, 18 Spinnaker Hill Lane. So if I'm understanding this clearly, it means that we take the gift now, but when there is a cost-sharing agreement, that comes back to the town so that the town can see what is involved in the cross-funding and how much that will actually cost the town. Is that understanding correct?
I don't think there is a cost-sharing agreement on this specific conduit. They were talking about when the overhead wires were put underground with the utility, that there may be a cost-sharing agreement. I'm not sure exactly what the connection was with the light board or the light plan and what actually was paid for or wasn't paid for with that. But this is something separate. This is an empty conduit that in the future, if somebody wants to use this, they can go through the select board, and the select board has an opportunity to approve that.
And there is no implication for future cost sharing, for maintenance, or anything else?
On this easement, no.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask the town council to perhaps provide some clarity on this, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Let me just make sure this is on and everybody can hear me. Yeah. Sounds like that's a yes. Mr. Moderator, thank you for recognizing me. I just wanted to see if I could clarify what appears to be a little confusion about the difference between what town meeting is being asked to authorize and what's going to happen after this. So if you look at the language of the motion, town meeting is being asked to authorize the select board to accept an easement, and the easement is shown on the plan that you're looking at right here. So that's what the select board is authorized to do if it chooses to proceed to accept this, this easement. So that's the restriction. Those are the parameters. What happens after that, and what's been happening in the background for a long time now, is that the actual legal instrument that is, you know, like a deed, like an easement, that's going to be drafted and negotiated between the parties is being refined and worked on. And that goes back and forth between the two parties and the lawyers and their development team and a whole bunch of stakeholders in it until the language gets refined, polished, and perfected to the point where it can actually be executed and recorded at the Registry of Deeds. Now, that instrument can only reflect what's on this plan. It can't go beyond that, because this is the only thing town meeting is authorized or may authorize the select board to accept. And so if this plan were to change, we would have to come back to town meeting. Otherwise, the instrument that's under negotiation cannot go beyond this, and it cannot deviate from this. So I just want to be clear that yes, of course, there are always things being discussed and implemented and worked on after town meeting, after any real estate article. There's a lot of work to do after town meeting. But that doesn't mean it can stray from the specific authorization that town meeting granted. And that's what's shown on the screen here. So I hope that clarifies what's being asked of town meeting and what the significance of this plan and authorization would be if town meeting sees fit to approve this article. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Mr. Clinton, you were standing to comment before I recognize council. All right. Ditto by Mr. Clinton. On my left, please.
To give Pat Cannon, 16 Sagamore Terrace, and also a member of the Light Board, to give some practical understanding of why this is being done. There's been hundreds and hundreds of feet of 6-inch conduit that have been installed with the intention of being able to put all those wires that used to be overhead underground. With the agreements that happened, it was a wise suggestion to be able to put an additional conduit with them for such time that, as we've talked about it quite a bit, about what this town needs is maybe a third line coming into town. To be able to feed us. That will be a great help to us, that if we need to get those conductors to the poles that cross that property, the easement will give Hull Light the right to be able to access that location. So if that gives a little explanation of the reason for this, it's only a spare conduit that's being given to us so that we won't have to dig things up again if we get lucky and find that third line. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. On my right, and I'll go to my left.
Sure, I think maybe people...
Name and address for the record, please.
Jason Frady, 60 Baltimore Ave, speaking on my own behalf, but I think people might not really think about why would a developer want to do this. Why would they want to give the town something like this at their own expense to put in conduit? Well, the way I think of it is they're putting in money to develop their property, and the last thing they want is the town in a year, 2 years, 5 years to come and dig it all right back up where they've already dug it up once. The trench is already dug. They're already doing the work. This just keeps from disrupting the property in the future, allows the town something it may want. We may never use it. Hopefully we'll get a third feeder line at some point and we will use it, and it'll go right through that pipe just as intended, and it won't cost the town any extra money to go out and actually have to take by eminent domain and easement, or have to negotiate an agreement with the property owners to get that easement to do this work, and then the expense to dig, retrench and put the pipe in. So it's a great idea for the developer because they get to keep from have their property dug up again, and it's a great idea for the town because it saves us money. It's a great compromise between the two. I urge favorable action.
Thank you, Mr. Frady. On my left, please.
Chandel Schulte, 25 Lafayette. I call the question.
Motion is made to call the question. Is there a second? If you're in favor of calling the question, you should vote in the affirmative. That will stop the debate and bring us back to the vote on the original motion. If you're opposed to calling the question and would prefer to have the discussion go on, then you should vote in the negative. I'm going to, you want to throw this up? Just want to do a voice vote. We're going to do this by a voice vote. I'm fairly confident that we can do it that way. All those in favor indicate by saying aye of calling the question. Aye. Those opposed, thank you. We are now back to the motion to authorize the Select Board to accept an easement for the property on 197 Nantasket Avenue as specified in the motion. Again, if you're in favor of accepting this, accepting the conduit, and authorizing the board to do so, then you should vote in the affirmative. If you're opposed to doing this at this point in time, then you should vote in the negative. I'm opening the voting for 30 seconds. The voting is now open. The voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. By a vote of 207 in the affirmative and 21 in the negative, Article 16 passes by majority vote. Next article, please. Article 13. Be found on page 4 and 5 of the warrant. I'd like to ask Timmy Best from the CPA to speak to this, please.
Hi, Tammy Best, 47 Ken Burma Street, and Chair of the Hull CPC, Community Preservation Committee. I'll keep this very brief. We have some great projects for you. All were very well supported. We got a lot of applications this year, and we'd ask for your support.
Thank you very much. So what I'm going to do in this particular case, each one of these has to be voted separately. They cannot be modified. That's per state statute. So it becomes a straight up or down vote, but it is required to be done for each one. So I'm going to begin reading them. I'm going to read through the motion that, as I have it here, that the town appropriate from the Community Preservation annual revenues in the amount recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for committee administrative expenses, community preservation projects, and other expenses in fiscal year 2026, which each item to be considered a separate appropriation as follows. From fiscal year 26, estimated revenues for historic resource reserves, $70,000. From fiscal year 2026, estimated revenues for community housing reserve, $70,000. From fiscal year 2026, estimated revenues for open space reserves, $70,000. For fiscal year 2026, estimated revenues for committee administrative expenses. Is there a second to the motion? What is your point of order, please?
It's Margaret Matthews, 42 Beacon Road. In my warrant book, it's from the fiscal year 27 budget, and it's specifically $73,000 for the first three projects.
All right,
So I was unaware of any change.
the warrant article and the motion do not have to be exactly the same. I do appreciate your comment and wondering if perhaps there seems to be an error associated with this or not. If Tammy, maybe you could comment, or I want to make sure we get it right. Thank you.
We want to get the amount right. We also want to get the year right.
I agree.
Yeah, my understanding is that what is printed in the warrant is what we agreed to at the CPC.
All right. If somebody would care to make a motion to waive it, the reading of the warrant, I can proceed through these. Is there a second? All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay. So for the fiscal year 27, estimated revenues from the historic resource reserve, $73,000. For fiscal year 2027, estimated revenues for community housing reserve, $73,000. For fiscal year 2027, estimated revenues for open space reserve, $73,000. And for fiscal year 2027, estimated revenues for committee assignment expenses, $35,000. So on 13A, these are required expenditures to have to be allocated to each one of these things. So that's basically what they're doing here. So there's a motion made. Is there a second for 13A? Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of 13A, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. If you're opposed, please indicate by saying no. Thank you. (13B), subparagraph A, moved by the Community Preservation Committee that the town take the following action and appropriate from the Community Preservation accounts the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee as follows. A, appropriate $1,933 from the Community Preservation Open Space Recreation Reserve and $47,837 from the Community Preservation General Fund for a total of $49,700 to be used by the Hull Community Garden Committee. Is there a second to the motion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of 13, excuse me? All those in favor of 13A, subparagraph B?
Trying to get up, please.
Yes, ma'am.
At any discussion. Cindy Borges, Nantasket Avenue. On here, I just noticed the address is 150 George Washington Boulevard. That's Jake's. Didn't it say 150 on this article?
It does say in the warrant 150, I believe.
Okay, can somebody confirm that address, please? As being for the Showboat property?
Mr. Moderator? Mr. Moderator?
Sure, please, thank you.
Henry Herman, 20 Marina Drive, speaking as president of the Hull Community Garden. 150 George Washington Boulevard goes from the intersection of Salisbury Street all the way up to where the showboat used to be at the Weir River.
Okay, what is the address of Jake's, please? 50? Okay, thank you.
The additional discussion from the advisory board, please.
Hi, Robin Healy, member of the advisory board. I think I will give all our recommendations for the expenditures just for expediency. We were unanimous in all of our approval for all of the 7 projects. There were 3 historic, 3 open space, 1 housing. The largest was the Village Park Playground, and as everyone knows, we've been trying to use the money for renovations of a playground or park every year, and we've had really great results with that. You can see them around town. The other one that's large and significant is the Hull Community Housing Trust Fund deposit for $500,000, and this is important in that of the funds that we've collected as part of the CPA for housing, these are actually have been accumulated and we're putting them into a trust that can be used in a meaningful way. So we were supportive of each of the 7 projects. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let me go back to the motion for 13B, subparagraph A. Move favorable action on 13, subparagraph A, to appropriate $1,933 from the Community Preservation Open Space Reserve and $47,837 for the Community Preservation General Fund for a total of $49,770. Is there a second to the motion? Is there discussion? In the Senate, please.
Thank you. Lisa French, 47 Rockaway. I'm not sure if I'm speaking at the right time. You know, this is the first time that I have seen that Hull Community Garden is a committee. And that surprises me because it's not listed on the town website. I also don't know if CPC funds are supposed to go to outside organizations if they're not a town committee. Could somebody please clarify this?
Please.
Henry Herman, 20 Marina Drive, president of the Hull Community Garden. We're not a committee of the town. That project and the community garden is all on town land. The community garden is a separate 501c3 charitable corporation that has a license from the town to operate on that land.
Could I just confirm if that's normal then for CPC funds to go to lessees? It sounds like there's a lessee. Is that normal?
It is.
Thank
and
you.
it happens on occasion in town.
Thank you. So the motion for 13B, subparagraph B, appropriate $26,000, back in the garden. Oh, did we finish the garden? I apologize because I thought we had. Yeah, we did, okay. So subsection A, appropriations for the Hull Garden, community garden as written in the warrant. All those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Subparagraph 13B, appropriation of $26,825 from the Community Preservation General Fund to be used by the Hull Life Saving Museum as written in the warrant. Is there a second to the motion? Discussion. There seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. 13B, subparagraph C, appropriates $670,000 from the Community Preservation General Fund to be used for the town of Hull for construction and renovation of the Village Park Playground and Basketball Court located at 34 Main Street and as written in the warrant. Is there a second to the motion? Discussion. Seeing none, all those...
Mr. Moderator, you got to move that screen. Randy Gould.
I put it there on purpose, but go ahead.
Okay. Randy Gould, 2 Cushing Street. I'm in favor of this, but I just have a couple of questions. As being the Zamboni operator down there in the wintertime, what happens is, now I know they're going to do the basketball court, and they're going to do the structures, playground structures, but I have a concern about the playground itself. Now, when I go down there to clean the ice and snow off, a couple of times I've gone through the ice, and you wouldn't believe the smell that comes up out of there. Now, I know the Canadian geese are there, and some other ducks are there, and they just crap all over the place. But this is the first time this year that I've seen the grass hasn't grown in the middle of the old softball field, which is right adjacent to the apparatus that the kids use. And the fact that the Jacob School gets out of a cheap field trip with its students, and the place was covered with kids down there the other day. Now, in my 70 years or 76 years of being associated with the town, I don't ever remember the grass not growing and that smell. A couple of years ago, the snow was deep enough. I went down with my snow blower, and as soon as that thing started throwing snow, it reeked and it was brown. Now, I know it gets muddy and everything there, but I'm just concerned about the condition of the playground and not so much higher up. And I called the sewer department a few years ago about it when I first noticed it. And this year I approached the health department to go down and do a sample. And I believe they said they didn't have it in their budget. So I'm just concerned we're going to spend all this money and then find out that there might be a leaking cesspool or a broken sewer line or something down there. It really stinks when you go through. And the other thing I have a question on, the town just replaced the fencing along Nantasket Ave up to the first house. Is that going to be, that expense will be taken out, you know, because it's already been done? They were supposed to replace the fence all around the park.
These get voted either up or down as they stand, Mr. Gould.
Say that again?
These get voted up and down as presented.
Yeah. Well, I was just concerned. I hate to spend $700,000 and find out next year they can't use it because it's a health hazard.
No, I recognize, and I'm sure people are going to look into the concern you raised. I was more referring to a cost reduction that you were perhaps inquiring about. That's why I always reference it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so the motion, is there anybody else standing to speak?
Yes. Rachel Gerald, 170 Spring Street, also the director of the Public Health Department. I have spoken to Randy Gould a few times, but we've never been asked to take a sample of that playground. I would not say it wasn't in our budget. I'm not sure exactly what sample we're looking for, but I just wanted to correct that. Thank you.
Seeing no one else?
Mr. Moderator.
Can I just talk to
Yes,
that?
sir. You've already spoken once, so other people have the opportunity for you.
Well, I just wanted to rebut that comment. I did talk to somebody in your office, and they said they didn't think they had it in the budget. I didn't talk to you, but I talked to somebody in the office.
I don't think we have to keep going back and forth.
Chris Diorio, Town Planner. I just want to respond to the fencing comment. The fence along the front of the park, along Nantasket Avenue to the fire station is going to be, the chain link is going to be replaced with a more visually appealing fence, more like a wrought iron type of look, just in that area.
Seeing no one else standing to discuss, the motion is the appropriation of $670,000 for the construction and renovation of the Village Park Playground as written in the warrant. Is there a second? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, thank you, it is a vote. 13B, subparagraph D.
Point of information.
Please.
CN Murray, 1 Summit Avenue. It seems to me that we've invested in a lot of electronic voting, and it's finally working. And I think we invested it for a number of reasons, of which I'm sure plenty of people here understand, and I think we should be using it. Thank you.
I'll go back to it when he finished this article. The goal really was just to be able to expedite the flow of the meeting a little bit. But we can go back to it. We ready to go back to electronic voting on it? You have these ready to be called up on the screen? 13B subparagraph D. (13BD). Motion is written in the warrant for the appropriation of $1,499 from the Community Preservation Historic Resource Reserve and $56,501 from the Preservation General Fund for a total of $58,000 to be used for the restoration of the Health Life-Saving Museum and Boathouse Restoration Project at 199 Main Street in Hull. Is there a second to the motion? Discussion. Seeing none, the voting will now be open for 30 seconds. If you're in favor of this expenditure, then you should vote in the affirmative. If you're opposed, you should vote in the negative.
Just a point of order, it looks like we're voting for $1,499, not 58. I mean, I just want to make sure this is done right so we can have a good vote. This says appropriate $1,499.
On D, appropriating $58,000. Thank you for pointing that out. We're waiting for that to be fixed because we are back to using the electronic voting at the suggestion of someone, so. Go ahead, D. 13D, moved by the Community Preservation Committee to take the following action as written in the warrant. And the expenditure associated with this is $58,000 from the Community Preservation Funds. If you're in favor of this.
Mr. Moderator, point of order. It's missing the other piece too. The 1,499.
No, we're on D.
I mean, I'd rather just do a voice vote, but.
We're on D. We did C already. All right. I would have been happy with the voice votes, folks. All right, if you're in favor of this, please indicate by voting yes. If you're opposed, please indicate by voting no. Voting is now open. Will be open for 30 seconds. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. By a vote of 204 in the affirmative and 12 in the pass, 12 in the negative, the motion for 13AD passes, 13BD passes. 13BE. It's moved by the Community Preservation Appropriations Committee that the expenditure of, for the sum of $150,000, which is not on that, but is as written in the warrant. This is to be used by the Friends of Paragon Carousel for restoration of the clock tower building at the Paragon Carousel. This is covered under the historic project element of the system. I'm going to open the voting for 30 seconds. Voting is now open.
No.
Excuse me? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Patricia Lambert, 18 Spinnaker Hill Lanes. I just want to ask a question of clarification. The sum of money for the preservation of the clock tower seems very small to me. So my question is this preservation of the clock tower on its own, or in addition, which would be impossible, I think, but what happens to the rest of the building? Because it is all extremely dilapidated. So we're either going to need more money, or I just need some clarification. I don't understand if the clock tower is being done by itself. If I could have some clarification, please.
There has been regular appropriations by the CPA to the carousel pretty consistently over the years for doors and windows and other elements. And I think this is just a continuation on the part of the CPA to continue to restore the carousel and the associated facilities to the proper format.
Mr. Moderator? Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Hi, Tammy Best, 47 Ken Burma Street. This is a beginning of a new project that will start the work in the clock tower building. So one of the items that they want to restore is to put in restrooms, and so this $150,000 will go towards that. They are looking for grants and other money to begin restoration of that entire building.
Any additional comment? Vote will now come when 13B subsection E for the appropriation of $150,000 for work associated with the clock tower at the carousel. Voting is now open, will be open for 30 seconds. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. By a vote of 209 in the affirmative and 13 in the negative, the expenditure of $150,000 is authorized. 13B, subparagraph F, please. Moved by the Community Preservation Project Appropriations Committee that the town take the following action and appropriate from the Community Preservation accounts in the amount recommended by the Community Preservation Committee as stated in the warrant, an appropriation of $45,197. This money will be used for the continued preservation of town records that are held at the Hull Village Fire Station at 129 Spring Street. Is there a second to? Any discussion? Seeing none, the voting is now open. The voting will be open for 30 seconds. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. By a vote of 208 to 14, the expenditure of $45,197 for the preservation of historical records is passed. 13B, subparagraph G, please. At the beginning of the town meeting, we asked the body for permission for Vinnie Hart of Wellspring to speak to this when it comes up. If he's here tonight, he's not here tonight? Okay. 13B, subparagraph G, moved by the Community Preservation Committee of the town take the following action and appropriate from the community preservation accounts and the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee as stated in the warrant. This is an appropriation of $500,000 to use, for the town of Hull for the preservation and creation of affordable housing and to be used for the Hull Community Housing Trust. There's a second to the motion. Is there discussion? Please.
Cynthia Colbert, 836 Nantasket Avenue. Last year, town meeting passed the warrant that established the Hull Community Housing Trust, and they have constituted themselves and worked hard this year and closely with the Community Preservation Committee. Funding is needed if this town is going to begin to preserve or develop affordable housing. And I hope that town meeting will support this allocation so that we can further that goal. And hopefully town meeting will at some point get to consider if there's some surplus property in town that could help make affordable housing possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, the vote will come on the appropriation of $500,000 from the CPA to the Affordable Housing Committee. Voting is now open. It will be open for 30 seconds. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. By a vote of 191 to 32, the appropriation of $500,000 by the CPA, to the community housing, it is passed, Next article, please. Article 18 can be found on page 8 and 9 of the warrant. Moved by the town manager that $455,000 is appropriated for the purpose of purchasing a backhoe and one-ton dump truck with plow, Pemberton drainage improvements, replacement of the garage storage building, including public restroom, and the installation of a columbarium foundations at Hull Village Cemetery. That to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the select board, is authorized to borrow $455,000 under Chapter 44 of the general laws or on any other enabling authority, and the select board is authorized to take any other action necessary or convenient to carry out these projects. Is there a second to the motion? Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good evening, Chris Gardner, Hull DPW Director. We currently have two backhoes, a 2013 and a 2016 backhoe. They're aging. They're starting to show their age, and we're looking currently to trade both of those in while they're actually maybe worth, still some good money for towards a new one. So we're looking to replace it with a brand-new Case 580 backhoe. And in the cemetery, we're also looking to install another columbarium. We installed one back in 2017, and that one is almost at full capacity. So we're looking to install another one. And also in the cemetery, we're looking to replace, it's a approximately 120-year-old garage that we store all of our greens and stuff for burials, all of our lawnmowers, and at the moment there is a non-functioning restroom in there. So what we would like to do is replace that with a newer metal structure that will hold all the equipment and have an actual working bathroom for residents and employees and people that are visiting their loved ones at the cemetery. Also, we're looking to replace, we have a 2015 two-wheel drive, one-ton pickup dump truck. We're looking to replace that with a one-ton four-wheel drive with a plow to assist with our snow fighting efforts. So, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Godlin. Advisory Board, please.
Chad Wolf, Vice Chair of the Advisory Board. So this is a bonding article where the town is asking for funding for $455,000 to purchase equipment and to build some new infrastructure. You know, the Advisory Board finds that, you know, given the scope and the size of the work that the DPW is proposing and the acquisitions of the equipment, that it's a reasonable amount of money. And more importantly, that the work that the DPW does really is of great benefit to the town. They're cost efficient, they can do things quickly, and oftentimes in a much more cost efficient manner than if we were contracting this work out to third parties. So we urge a favorable action.
Thank you. On my right, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mike Lyons, 12 Eastern Ave. This is a bonding article. Does that mean we're borrowing? I am in favor of this article. I believe that this is the proper place to do the borrowing for equipment for DPW, fire trucks, things like that. We'll pay off the debt hopefully before the equipment runs out. But there has been other borrowing articles that we've approved tonight, and I'm just wondering, big picture, does the town have a cap on borrowing? Is it based on a dollar figure? Is it based on a percentage of debt or a percentage of the interest payments on the debt on an annual basis? I'm just wondering if we have a percentage in mind that we're allowed to borrow before it gets out of hand.
Mr. Buckley?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The town does have a debt, what is called a debt limit, and we're well below the debt limit. I don't have the exact number with me tonight. I think the town's total outstanding debt is about 28 million, and the most important number to look at is how much of our operating budget is consumed by our debt payments. So we try to keep that under 10%. We are under 10%, and we're approaching the point where we will be pushing up to the 10, but we're not there yet. So it's more of the Prop 2.5 installed a debt limit, which we really don't have to worry about, but it's more of a ability to pay that we have to pay attention to and worry about, and we're within the limits of that.
Mr. Moderator, through you.
Please.
The 10% annual, is that based on the interest payment of the debt?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. That would be principal and interest.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional discussion? Mr. Gould, please.
Mr. Moderator,
For the record, please.
Randy Gould, 2 Cushing Street in the Village. Everything you see listed here has to be acquired. As a small town, you have to utilize your equipment to the best of its ability, and having a one-ton, two-wheel drive truck with no plow on it isn't quite cutting it. The purchase of the backhoe, I've seen it up at the cemetery. It's in rough shape. It gets used almost every day throughout the town. The permanent drainage improvements, last year, all the streets in Pemmican would flood at any tide that was higher than 10.5 feet. So some people lost lawns and couldn't come out in the morning and find out if it was a high tide, they couldn't get to their cars. So every street in Pemmican was flooding because of defective gate protection in the drainage system. And like I said last night, I've been trained in 501 OSHA regulations, and that garage storage building is in tough shape. It has sunken, and when it rains, the water goes into the building, and you have to have health and welfare facilities for the employees who are up there all summer cutting the grass, and also when people go up there, they're usually maintaining their graves, and different organizations are doing things up there like putting in the wreaths and the memorial markers for this coming Memorial Day, and there's no place really to go to the bathroom or anything except for, they used to rent the porta potty, and those are lovely. And so, yeah, restrooms need to be done, and also, like he said, the Columbarium Foundation, they just got through about 2 years ago cleaning the whole right side of the cemetery, and like he said, most of the columbariums that went in, I think they went in about 10 years ago, are full. So I strongly urge that you help his employees work in a safe place, and also the people that go up there and tend to their graves. Vote in favor of this article.
Thank you, Mr. Gould. The Senate, please.
Bernadette Raftery, 6 Harold Place. Just a quick question. The bathrooms, will those be locked after dark? And who will be maintaining them?
They will be maintained by us, and yes, they will be locked at the end of the day.
Any additional discussion? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion for the expenditure of $450,000 for funding the associated DPW equipment. Voting will be open for 30 seconds. The voting is now open. If you're in favor of the expenditure, you should vote in the affirmative. If you're opposed, you should vote in the negative. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. With 108 in the affirmative and 5 in the negative, it is a 2/3 vote for Article 18. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator. Jim Kilfoyle, 7 James Ave. Sorry to cause any trouble. That vote total seemed quite low. I wonder if there may be a problem with the clickers again.
I don't believe there was. Did anybody seem to have a problem with their clicker? We don't have any indication of being a problem, and it certainly was a substantial enough vote that it would have been a 2/3. But I will ask as we take the next vote, please check and make sure when you vote that you see the okay up in the corner of the thing. If you don't, please call it to our attention so we can have your clicker replaced if that's something that needs to be done. You know, it's hard to count 113 people. I don't know, it's hard to say. But so, next vote, please check. I don't think it calls the previous vote into question at all. Article 33 is an amendment of the zoning bylaw, paragraph 410-3.6 for commercial A, B, and C districts. It is moved by the planning board that the town amend the zoning bylaws, paragraph 410-3.6, commercial A, B, and C districts, sub-districts A, permitted uses for commercial, recreational, A, B, and C districts to include museums as follows. Being asked, this is going to be a strikeout is being removed, something underlined is being added. Subparagraph 410, 3.6, commercial, recreation, A, B, and C districts, permitted use of commercial, recreational, A, B, and C districts. 2, commercial, recreational, B districts, parentheses, subject to the requirements of Table 50, parentheses, CR-C, and parentheses, Table 51, and the parking requirements are specified in paragraph 410-5.2. G, museums, commercial, recreational, G, museums, 3, commercial, recreational, C district, parentheses, subject to the requirements of Table 50, subparagraph CR-C, Tables 51, and the parking requirements are specified in 410-5.2. G, museums, or take any other action thereto. Is there a second to the motion? Somebody from the planning board, please. You're doing it.
Chris Diorio, town planner. I can quickly explain. This is a pretty straightforward article. What's really being proposed is to allow museums within the commercial rec B and C districts. Currently, we have 3 commercial rec districts, A, B, and C. They're allowed in A, and there was thought to be an oversight that they weren't allowed in B and C. So commercial rec B is basically the Horizons building with frontage up to, I think, Ocean Inn. And then the commercial rec C district is the construction yard across from the DPW yard, as well as the area around Daly and Wandsor, Spinnaker Island, and the Hull Yacht Club area.
Advisory board, please.
Mr. Moderator. Bob Carney, 45 Turner Road, member of the advisory board. As you can see from your books, the advisory board unanimously recommends favorable action after a hearing on this. We were told there's no particular museum in mind, but this seems like a very good idea for the use districts that are described. Thank you.
The planning board, please.
Good evening, Jean Paquin, 43 Edgewater Road. I'm the chair of the planning board. The board voted 6-0 to recommend town meeting approval of this article. We thank you very much.
Any additional discussion? Seeing no one standing, the vote will come on Article 33 regarding the proposed changes in Districts B and C relative to recreation, commercial, and museum use. Voting is open for 30 seconds. While it's still open, make sure you see it up in the corner, all right, that it's been registered. So if you don't see it, please let us know. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. By a vote of 138-4, this passes by a 2/3 vote for Article 33. So the other evening, we tabled Article 42 into Article 39 was called because of the similarities in the two articles, although there are some differences. So the way it works now is we go back to Article 42. We will vote and discuss on Article 42, and then we will come to Article 39. I ask the presenters to realize that there's some commonality, and perhaps when you're speaking, you take that in consideration as you're using your allotted speaking time. So if we could bring up Article 42, please. Article 42, moved by Susan Vermilia, remote public access to town board and committee meetings. Move that the town vote to amend the general bylaws by adding the following section. Remote public access to town board and committee meetings. All open meetings of the following town boards, commissions, and committees, as defined by the Massachusetts Open Meeting Law, shall provide real-time remote access for the general public by audio or audiovisual means for in-person or hybrid meetings. Following boards are the Advisory Board, the Affordable Housing Committee, Capital Improvement Committee, Conservation Commission, Design Review Board, Economic Development Committee, Housing Production Plan Committee, How Community, How Community Housing Trust, How Redevelopment Authority, Light Board, Planning Board, Public Safety Building Committee, School Committee, Select Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, and Zoning Bylaw Committee. The Select Board or its designee shall establish procedures and oversee implementation of this bylaw. Implementation of this bylaw shall be subject to appropriation and available resources. This bylaw is intended to promote transparency and public access and shall be implemented in a manner consistent with applicable law. Temporary failure to provide remote access due to technical difficulties, equipment failure, or other unforeseen circumstances shall not constitute a violation of this bylaw, provided that all reasonable efforts are made to restore access as soon as practicable. This bylaw shall take effect immediately upon approval by town meeting for purposes of planning, procurement, and training, with full compliance required no later than 2 months following the relocation of Town Hall to the Memorial School. Funding authorization, and further move that the town vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds a sum not to exceed $20,000 for initial implementation in the current fiscal year, including the purchase of equipment, software, storage, and technical services. Note, funding under this article is not in addition to and shall not duplicate any funding appropriated under any other related article for the same. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
There is a second. Susan Vermilia, please.
All right, Susan Vermilia, 17 East Street. We're going a little backwards because the other article, if that was first, this one would have made a little bit more sense. Sorry if you can't hear me. So there's two different articles that are coming to town meeting. One is to record town meetings and put them out on Hull Cable so that they're available for the community to be able to watch and learn. My article is related to being able to live stream the meetings so that you can listen to it while it's happening. And this is very similar to what we do now for the Select Board. This article does not mean to have public public participation. It only means that if you're at home or you can't get to a meeting, you can listen in from home and you can stay informed. And so now, let me just flip to the next page. See how we do this next. As stated in the motion, there are 16 boards and committees that this would be applied to. When we met with the advisory board, we got some really good feedback from them as to how to adjust this so that it wasn't a financial burden on the town. And so what we did is there's 45 boards and committees that are listed on our website, and we picked about a third of them, 16 of them. And so we picked the ones that we thought were the most pertinent to what a citizen in this town would like to hear. And so these are the boards, and of these 16, I believe 6 of them are already in line with doing this sort of thing. And so there would be an additional 10. All right, and there you go. The cost versus benefit of this. The cost on this are capped at $20,000 a year. The good news is that I've spoken to our cable team, and when we move the town hall to the middle school, there will be 2 rooms fully equipped with technology to be able to make this happen. And so between the 2 rooms there and the 1 room at the high school where we have the technology already in place, there is no cost for that. The additional cost would be minimal. We did some rough math on how long it might take to process some files, to get them up on the web, and 20,000 is probably more than what's needed, but we wanted to make sure that we covered our bases. The benefit here is really improved access to meetings real time. It responds to citizens' input on the master plan survey. You know, that survey stated that we have some issues with transparency and trust in government, and this can really help solve that problem. There's a lot of hearsay, there's a lot of rumors, or people just aren't informed. And so the benefit of this is really to have, a citizen base who really knows what's going on. And when you come to town meeting, you'll know what's going on. One example of that is the advisory board meetings. They held a few advisory board meetings, to go over a lot of the articles. I don't think those were recorded or put out there on Hull Cable. Those could have been really helpful to our community to be able to know what's going on and come in here with that knowledge and maybe not asking as many questions. So the benefit improves public access to meetings real time. It responds to the master plan survey issues. It improves ability to know facts rather than rumor and hearsay, and it may inspire more residents to run for office. And that's it. I'm going to just go back to the list. And maybe I can't get back. But this article is really to allow for remote access, to be able to listen in, and it does not include participation, because I think that would be challenging for somebody to be trying to run a meeting and trying to deal with people at home. But this will allow a live stream so you can at least hear it and you'll know what's happening that day. So, thank you. So I urge you to vote yes on this.
Advisory board, please.
Moraiba Reyes, 17 Q Street, member of the advisory board. And I want to start saying, while the advisory board supports attendance and participation from members of the community, the real issue that we had with this when we were discussing it, and thank you for explaining it really well, thank you for the idea, is that it represents a budgetary issue. So there is a lot of technicality that comes with this. It's buying equipment, it's software, it's professional services, it's training for remote public access to town board and committee meetings. As she explained very well, there's a number of committees that happen during the process leading to town meeting, and there's a lot of discussion. So the approval of this article will cost additional cost to taxpayers, and including all expenses associated with the technology platform to record and access hybrid public meetings, and then, of course, the staffing to run those things and oversee and troubleshoot. You know how technology works, and it's not always as reliable as we think it is on paper. The one thing I will say is there are plans, she also mentioned that, there are plans with the retrofitting of the middle school into town hall, plans to produce technology to support these meetings, not just with the space, but with the technology. So we found this
duplicate of the existing plans that are already in the making. Thank you. We recommend unfavorable action.
On my left, please. Peter?
Over here. Mr. Moderator, Peter Seitz, 68 Wailer Road, station manager of Hull TV. I'm more prepared to speak on Article 39. Are we mingling the two or what?
39 will be coming up next.
Okay.
All right.
So, and I was under the impression this was a hybrid meeting article, so I'll let other people speak, and if I feel a need, I'll come back.
Thank you very much. In the center, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mr. Sweeney, 219 Atlantic Ave. I think this is a great idea. When you have meetings taped, you can use the Zoom, which is the town already has. They can put them onto the cable. We have a $322,000 budget through the Cable Enterprise Fund. So I'm not sure, we have a lot of money there. So I think the Zoom would really help. It's an ADA compliant tool also, where people that can't get out of their homes and that want to listen to meetings, they'll be able to listen to all the meetings. And everything that is taped, we don't have to go back and look for meeting minutes, because we always have an issue with meeting minutes getting to the website because time restraints and things like that. If you have it taped, you don't have that problem. You just go back and watch the tape. You get everything you need right on that tape. I think it's a great idea, and I'm in favor of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. On my left, please.
Paul Weiss, Spinnaker Island, Commodore Court. I work in technology, and I will tell you that 20K is grossly underestimated. But it's been 4 years since I've been here, and we have zero transparency. We need to get this implemented. I don't care if it starts at 20K, but it will be documented. There's a text-to-speech capability. You will have to review and edit that, but there'll be complete transparency moving forward. And that's the problem we have today, folks. So I'm in support. Thank you.
Moderator, can I speak to that cost question?
I didn't hear the question, but go ahead, please.
Or his comment on technology cost. In speaking with our local cable, the cost are already part of the move to the middle school. They're already in the budget for that, the technology costs. So we would not have to buy a lot of technology. There is a possibility of buying something called an OWL, which is about $1,200 on Amazon, and that is used as a recording device. And so that's a really small cost. The cost really comes in processing the files. And so the estimate, I think, is about 20 to 30 minutes per meeting to process the file. And those go up on Hull Cable. The other option is, instead of Hull Cable, a lot of municipalities are using YouTube for free to be able to put their meetings out there, their public meetings, and so there's no cost there. And so really the $20,000 is there to cover any additional labor cost for maybe needing to film a meeting like they do in the exhibition room here.
Thank you. Town manager, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Couple of comments. One, I just want to speak to the transparency very briefly. I remind everybody that all public meetings are open to the public. In fact, the town does make every effort, and it's incumbent upon those committees to submit their minutes in a timely manner, and those are all posted on the committee's website, which we did add additional software specifically dedicated to committees, their minutes, and transparency. Remote access comes with a significant cost, as you heard. I'm not sure. I think the motion says one thing, and I think I heard you say something differently, Susan. But to live stream a meeting and record it comes at a cost for equipping a room of $150,000 to $180,000 per room. An owl or recording cost are about 20,000, but that would cover one room, one owl, and one ability to record via that technology. The motion also states shall take effect immediately. This has not been budgeted in the FY27 budget, and so that would not be possible. It also states full compliance no later than 2 months following the relocation of Town Hall to middle school. That may not be problematic. That provides us time. But there are some concerns relative to the cost, policy associated with who's using which form of technology, but I would be open to speaking with the petitioner and, of course, hearing from the community about other means on improving access to meetings. I also want to note that Zoom accounts, the town has a limited number of Zoom accounts, and those do also come at a significant cost, particularly as we add accounts to Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. On my right, please.
Pam Marlowe, Sicklo Colony Road. I like to attend the meetings. Yes, I can read the minutes, but it's really not the same as being present for the meetings. One of the problems is sometimes there are more than one meeting in a night, or one is at 5 and one is at 7. It's not logical or not possible, let's say not possible, to attend all the meetings. If they were recorded, there would be no, as Susan alluded to, no, hearsay, no, oh, I heard this, I saw that, blah, blah, blah. So I am so in favor of this, not just for the transparency piece, but so we can be better informed. I want to be better informed as a taxpayer and somebody who lives in Hull. Thank you.
In the center, please.
Lisa French, 47 Rockaway. I think it's a matter of priorities. We're here on purpose at the town meeting to decide which things we want to pay for, like this. I've heard these really expensive projects that people have supported. I think this is really important to do this. I think this is a perfect investment. For me personally, it sounds very reasonable. It sounds essential. The thing that I would like to ask about is, could town council please confirm, if we do vote to approve this article, will this only be an advisory vote on the town manager and on the select board? Is this only an advisory vote, or will the select board actually have to act and actually do this? Thank you.
If you care to.
Hold on 1 second. Let me just make sure this is working. Great. The motion on the floor is whether or not to adopt a bylaw. The bylaw in itself has to go to the Attorney General's office before it's even approved. So nothing goes into effect immediately until the Attorney General has reviewed it and made a determination whether or not to approve or disapprove or approve with comment. At that time, it would become a bylaw of the town if it were approved. If it is not approved, then it has no legal effect. It's not even advisory. It's as though it were disapproved from the beginning. Do you want me to continue, or?
Does that answer your question?
Excuse me, I think that it does. You're saying because it's a bylaw, if it's approved, then this must actually happen. They must act on this.
It would have, Mr. Moderator.
If the Attorney General approves it.
It would have the same force and effect as any bylaw in the town.
Thank you.
I believe to my left.
Margaret Matthews, 42 Beacon Road. I have 2 questions and 1 comment. The first question is, do you consider this, since it's in the general plan when we move Town Hall to the middle school, do you view this as an interim solution until that happens and those plans take over? Or is this more are you ensuring that they will provide live feeds? How would you characterize it?
So this would be best effort right now because we don't have the technology in place for everything. I know that there are meetings now that are recorded, but they don't go up on Hull Cable, like the Capital Improvement Committee meetings were recorded and they're not put up there. And so it's best effort now, but with full compliance within 2 months of the town hall moving to the middle school, because at that point, the hope is that the technology is in place and up and running because they're going to be running select board meetings there, and that's the technology they're going to need for those meetings.
Okay, so secondly, can you clarify, this article does not cost any money. You're not asking for money. If you were to then do the research and want to go buy equipment, you'd have to come back to this body to ask for the appropriation to buy it, correct? Is that correct?
No, the article that was up on the screen, I don't know if that was the final motion or if that was the warrant no, actually there was a $20,000 cap.
Okay, there's no money in this article as it's written.
Yeah, so that was published before we spoke with the advisory board, and the advisory board gave us some great feedback.
I see.
And so we updated the motion with the dollar value.
I see, okay.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, and then just one general comment. I'm actually surprised that this has not come up before in this town because most towns dealt with this as a result of COVID. It's like, now it's almost like normal behavior that you do this. And I just want to make a comment that in a town where a large percentage of our population are senior citizens, this becomes even more important. So I do urge that we raise the priority of implementing this for those reasons, and I will be voting yes. Thank you.
Thank you. On my right, please.
Mr. Moderator, may I address the previous speaker's points?
Go right ahead. Thank you.
I just wanted to make note that the town has adjusted since COVID and increased accessibility over the past couple of years. We have added a camera in the select board room, which is really the only location we have available at this time to do that. There are meetings that are recorded. We have added Zoom. It is up to the committee if they want to record their meetings or not record those meetings, whether audibly or visually, or a combination of both. Hybrid meetings are a policy decision for the select board to make. Currently, the town does not have a hybrid meeting policy, and in fact, although it seems ideal, it actually comes with a lot of challenges and expense because you need to have somebody that can monitor and moderate the meeting in terms of online questions, or not. That requires staff availability. So while we are making strides there, and we do have rooms equipped or planned for at the middle school, right now it's not really a practical option as it currently stands. And I also just wanted to make note that because of the complication with the hybrid meeting, that a number of communities are actually pulling back from hybrid meetings for a variety of reasons.
Thank you. On my right, please.
Excuse me, Polly Rowe, 9 Rockview Road. I will be voting against this, and I do not want to be duplicitous in what I've heard the town manager say just now and in her prior comments, but that was going to be my original point, whether it's Article 42 or Article 39. To me, reminded that we have already passed our budget for this year, and we had quite a lot of debate about spending $20,000 additional for our town clerk's position. It is illogical, number one, to pass both articles where it says it shall take effect immediately and you're going to see if the town will appropriate from free cash money. We can't do that. The budget has been passed. Outside of the move to the Memorial Middle School, i.e. this is premature, I don't know about you, But I would never tell somebody, you know, I want you to go buy a house for me and I'll give you a blank check and you fill in the amount of it. Okay? We don't know practically what these technology, labor, additional things that are being asked of this are actually going to cost. And so to vote and say, yes, go ahead and do this, when it could end up costing us, I literally have no idea. Supposing it costs us $200,000 rather than $20,000, people would be upset about that. So I do not think that it makes any logical sense at this time, before we move to the Memorial Middle School, and before we concretely know what exactly is involved in the implementation of all that's being asked, I do not think that it is wise to vote for this. So I'll be voting no, and I urge you to do the same. Thank you.
In the center, please.
Patricia Lambert, pardon me, 18 Spinnaker Hill Lane. For the 4 years that I have spent in Hull, I have been simply astounded by the unevenness of transparency in the town. There are pockets of transparency and there are pockets of darkness. I do not think that this is suitable for a town, as I have said before, that runs on direct democracy, that requires transparency, accountability, openness. I would repeat the points of those who've spoken before me to vote yes on this article, but that would be extremely tiresome. So I will confine myself to saying this. Hull Town's budget runs to millions. We have to be able to prioritize the spending of those millions. I am also aware that all budgets have some discretionary funding in them, and I would suggest that that discretionary funding be applied to transparency. Democracy dies in darkness. So why do we not step into the light, prioritize our budget for open and accountable government? We would have less argy-bargy at town meeting if people were coming with information. It is exceedingly difficult to get information out of the town. I have written countless emails. They go unanswered. They die in darkness. It doesn't mean that the questions are not there. It means that the questions are unanswered. And that is not good for me as a ratepayer and taxpayer. It is not good for the town as a whole. So I would urge everybody to vote yes on this so that we put into practice the direct democracy that is the charter of this town and that we all say we believe in. Thank you.
On the left, please.
Sarah Ventitulo, 902 Nantasket Ave. I wasn't totally prepared to speak on this. I didn't think I needed to. I ditto the heck out of what most of the citizens are saying. I often hear at town meeting, our meetings are open, come to the meetings. If you care, come to the meetings during the week. I often will look at the schedule, and there are overlapping meetings, and it is so many, it is not tenable. I always feel for our parents that can't make it every single night and need to be home for their kids, or our senior population that can't make it. I thought that the Americans with Disability was a really good point. I am suffering with a serious illness right now. I feel like shit, and I'm doing my best effort to be here. I think it's important, and I think that having this access is a no-brainer. When we do Zooms, the comments are turned off, so that isn't a management issue. I'm hopeful to see what 39 does, goes that extra mile, because this is extremely important. Thank you.
On my right, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Tom Burns, Clinton Avenue. You may have heard me last night. I'm chair of the Light Board. I'm also co-chair of the DRB. A lot of our DRB meetings are Zoom. Design Review Board. All kinds of projects from Paragon to the Point. We have significantly more presentation from the public at the Zoom meetings. We've had a few DRB meetings that were we had a few Light Board meetings that were televised, thanks to Peter Zeit. And I'll say, before anyone calls for the question, I would love to hear what Peter says, because all this is going to go through him. Now, Susan, these are excellent, long overdue. The technology's out there. I think 20 might be a little low. The big thing is to get it approved by the Attorney General, and then I think work with Peter to come up with a plan, a committee, I hate to say, to make this work. This amendment is long, or this article is long overdue. Highly endorse it.
Thank you. Moderator, can I just speak to the cost again? The $20,000 is the cap, and as far as appropriations, it says in here to raise and appropriate from available funds, and my understanding is that we have free cash in the budget, and this could come out of free cash. And so it wouldn't affect the general budget, it would affect what we have in free cash that's available. So thank you.
In the center, please.
Sherry Robertson, 21 F Street. I wanted to chime in. I work in a different municipality nearby, and when COVID happened and we switched to remote/hybrid meetings, I've been running 3 to 4 meetings a week in that format since then. I use Zoom. We have OWL cameras, as Susan mentioned. They're about $1,000, I think, or $1,200 for the Zoom, to run the Zoom. So you run the Zoom through the OWL, and it actually does allow for at-home participation. People can raise their hand on the Zoom. I allow them to speak. The question comes right out of the little OWL camera. If you've seen one, you probably know if you're in corporate. And they're able to ask a question and participate from home. That being said, I'm glad that it's in the mix for the middle school property to have the set system. I'm concerned about how long that's going to be. You see by people participating the last few nights, there are a lot of issues people feel strongly about. The public safety facility, everybody wants to know what's going on. How long is it going to take to get into the middle school? We don't know. We have a goal, that's true, but in the meantime, people want to be involved, and people with mobility issues, illnesses, our seniors, it's dark at dinner time half the year. They don't want to drive at night. We have a lot of participation on all the Zoom meetings for the different boards and committees that I sit there, and yes, it's staffing, and I have to do the minutes, and that's true, but I had to do them anyway, so now I'm working the Zoom. It's not that difficult to run a hybrid meeting, but even just to record it, it records on the cloud on my Zoom account, and I send it to who would be Peter Seitz's counterpart in the town where I work, and they put it immediately on their YouTube after a day or two. It's simple. This really is a no-brainer, so I support this. Thank you, Susan.
On my left,
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bartley Kelly, 276 Atlantic Ave. I call the question.
motion's been made to call the question. It is not debatable. Is there a second to the motion? I am going to use a voice vote on calling the question. If you're in favor of calling the question, which means we end debate and then go directly to a vote on Article 42, that will happen. If you want to continue the discussion, then you should vote no. All those in favor of calling the question, please indicate by saying aye. Those opposed? No. It is a vote. Vote will now come on Article 42, Citizens Petition for Remote Public Access to Town Board and Committee Meetings. Voting is going to be open for 30 seconds. The voting is now open. If you're in favor, as proposed, then you should vote in the affirmative. If you are not in favor of this proposal, then you should vote in the negative. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. If we could, by vote of 145 to 70, the motion for favorable action on Article 42 passes. We now go to Article 39. As we bring that up, I try and remind people that there is a great deal of similarities between this, so it may not be necessary to repeat all the exact same comments you made just a few minutes ago. Article 39, moved by Michael Marrow. Remote public access to town board and committee meetings. Move that the town vote to amend the general bylaws by adding the following section.
Mr. Moderator, I put in a revised motion to you that it's different than this, it's different than the warrant. I provide that with you on the first day of the meeting. If you pull up my slides, I have that warrant on the slides.
Just 1 minute, please. George, could you pull up the presentation for Article 39?
One of the key things is it removes all meetings, and we're just selecting certain ones. So that's a big deal to try and record all meetings.
Is this motion in your...
It is in the slide, yeah.
All right, if it comes up on the slide, I'm going to read it as the motion, if that's okay, so people can see it. And that won't count against your time to speak in the regards. All right, it's moved by Mr. Marlowe that all open meetings of the following town boards, commissions, and communities as defined by the Massachusetts Open Meeting Law shall be recorded in audio or audiovisual format and made publicly available through Hull Cable in or other means within 7 days of each meeting. The Advisory Board, Affordable Housing Committee, Capital Improvement Committee, Conservation Commission, Design Review Board, Economic Development Committee, Housing Production Plan Committee, Hull Community Housing Trust, Hull Redevelopment Authority, Light Board, Planning Board, Public Safety Building Committee, School Committee, Select Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Zoning Bylaw Committee. The Select Board or its designees shall establish procedures and oversee implementation of this bylaw. Implementation of this bylaw shall be subject to appropriation and available resources. This bylaw is intended to promote transparency and public access and shall be implemented in a manner consistent with applicable law. Temporary failure to record and post meetings due to technical difficulties, equipment failure, or other unforeseen circumstances shall not constitute a violation of this bylaw, provided that reasonable efforts are made to restore access as soon as practicable. This bylaw shall take effect immediately upon approval by town meeting for purposes of planning, procurement, and training, with full compliance required no later than 2 months following the relocation of Town Hall to Memorial Middle School. Funding authorization Further move that the town vote to raise and appropriate or appropriate and transfer from available funds a sum not to exceed $20,000 for initial implementation in the current fiscal year, including the purchase of equipment, software, storage, and technical services. Funding on this article is not in addition to and shall not duplicate any funding appropriated under any other related article for the same purpose. That's the motion. So is there a second to that motion? All right. For discussion, Mr. Marlowe, please.
And if we go to my slide, I can move it to the next one. Okay, so we know right now that certain committees and boards are currently recorded, but are not all posted online. The reason for this particular warrant is to get these meetings posted online so you can see them not when they necessarily happen, but at some point in time when you do have the ability to spend some time listening to the select board, the select board is already posted, but the other committees that aren't posted. We narrowed it down to the 16 committees, so we know these are recorded but not necessarily posted. The next ones, and these match up with that same Article 41, so the committees are matched up. So we want to record these and the other 6 on the other page with just recording capabilities. Now, the OWL has been mentioned. I know there's some people on these committees that are not very technical. The OWL does require you plugging into a computer and dealing with more technical things. With this particular warrant, you're allowed to do either audio, video, or audio only. The OWL, as we said, was about $1,000 to $1,200. This recording device is about $150. So if we have an audio recording of the meeting, we know exactly what was said there. We don't get misinformation. We don't get people putting rumors out. We get complete understanding of what happened during that meeting, not just the minutes of the meeting when stuff can be left in or left out. So the cost of the estimated equipment, if you did the audio recording devices, is about $2,500. 2 recording devices would be $300. Our estimating staffing is to take these digital files and get them posted up online, whether it's through the cable or the town website or through YouTube. So the value obviously is seeing transparency. I don't need to repeat that. We've heard that many times the last 3 nights. So I did a little math on it, and there's about 8,600 adults in Hull. The cost for this, based on this estimate here, is about $2.22 per adult. So it's something that will allow you to go to a website or a YouTube and listen to that meeting that you have an interest in. The warrant also says that the select board has the ability to make this happen. If they choose not to buy the OWL, that's fine. The audio recording works just as well. You don't have to have the visual. The audio recording is about as simple as you can get. You've all had, remember the cassette recorders you used to have? You push record. It does everything else, records it on a SD card, and it's a rechargeable, so you're not even buying batteries for this thing. And if we've got the 2 rooms in the town hall and this room, if we had 2 or 3 of these just audio recordings, we could record 6 meetings a day. I don't think that we ever have that many in a day, but this would allow them to be recorded. And I've talked with one of our other towns here, Whitman, which has a YouTube channel, and they post all their meetings. As you can see across the top line there, the select board meetings, but some of the other meetings that are included are things like, I wrote it down here, because I even couldn't read it, I had to blow it up. Some of the lesser committees are recorded. Oh, right here. Community Preservation Committee, the Economic Development Committee, the Bylaw Study Committee. So every committee that has a meeting gets reported and posted up online. This is what I'd like us to do here in Hull. So if you can't make the meeting, this is a lot simpler than doing the hybrid meetings, a lot simpler than any other way of getting that stuff out there with either the audio, with the recorder, or the OWL for audio and visual. So for $2.22 per adult, I think it's well worth to get that transparency, and I ask you to vote for this.
Advisory board, please.
Jason Frady, 60 Russian Road. I'm actually not speaking in my role as the advisory board. I've just spoken with the member who was going to speak, and she allowed me to cut her in line here. I'd like to move no action on this article. We've just dealt with this. We've just passed an article. This is highly duplicative of what we've already got. It is going to set up two different structures to accomplish the same thing that we've already just passed as a bylaw. So I don't see why we would need to pass this as well. Thank you.
Is there a second to the substitute motion? All right. You need a minute? Thank you. The discussion will now be on the substitute motion, which is to take no action on this because of the duplicity between the two articles. Is there any discussion?
Yes. Susan Vermillion, 17 East Street. I want to just explain the difference between the two articles. We went a little backwards because the article that Mike Marlowe is bringing forward is the real article that you really need to approve. This one is the one that says record the 16 board and committee meetings, record them and put them out on Hull Cable. That, I think, is really valuable to us. The second one that I did was supposed to come after that, and my article related to being able to live stream the meeting at home so that you can hear it while the meeting is happening. And so they are very different, and it's $20,000 cap for both of these. It says it in the motion that the $20,000 only applies, there's some text in there that says that it's a cap of $20,000 for each of this. It's not $40,000, and it's in the motion that way. So I want to make sure before you say no action, this is the one that gets you the recording and gets it out there on Hull Cable or whatever means that we do. So thank you.
Any discussion on the substitute motion? Representative Machino, thank you for being here.
Hi, Joan Moschino, 1 Bradford Ave. Given the other proponents' remarks in favor of this motion, may I suggest that this might be an appropriate time for a motion for reconsideration on 42, so that you can then take up the motion for 39 if the body was so inclined. You could vote for reconsideration now that you have additional information from this article in front of it, and then that way you could get the actual motion that the body seems inclined to vote for without having to try to either kill the one that you really want and go for no action. And I don't think there is a process for reconciliation if you were to vote for both of them. So I just thought that might be a nice, clean, procedural way, since the body is inclined to vote for the concept. Pick the one you want, do the reconsideration on the other, and then vote for the one that you prefer. It's just an idea.
Point of order. Can you reconsider a different article in the middle of a motion on one article? That doesn't seem appropriate. You could reconsider it after if you'd like to do that, but in the middle of one article that's all on the floor, under debate, that just seems inappropriate.
I think the town council has indicated that it might be inappropriate, so I will respect his judgment on that. We will continue back to the motion that was originally put to table this, to call no action on this, excuse me. So the motion made by Mr. Frady was for no action, excuse me, on Article 39. Can I have that in writing, please, Mr. Frady? Is there a second for the motion for no action on Article 39?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Discussion should be on the motion to take no action on Article 39. Is there any discussion? On my left, please. This is related to the no action motion.
Yes, yes, it is. Jason McCann, 53 Highland Ave. I'm a member of the Select Board, but I'm not speaking for the Select Board. I'm speaking as a citizen. I've been on many different committees here in town, and I would support this motion for no action. I agree with its intent for sure, and I do think that this is a very doable technical thing to do once we get into the memorial school, but it really is difficult to do right now, and I can attest to that. So many of the meetings that we do for different committees are held in different rooms. If you know about the ladies and gentlemen's lounges upstairs, there's small rooms where lots of committee meetings happen, sometimes in the exhibition hall at the high school, but just a small portion are held in the select board room, which has some basic technology and makes it easy to record. I've personally used individual voice recording devices to record my committee meeting minutes, then try to turn those meeting minutes, or turn those transcripts into meeting minutes, and it is not an easy process to do. There isn't the technical support from the town in terms of the staffing that we currently have to have different people to help us with that at every committee meeting. Oftentimes, we have people who are participating in our committees via a laptop. On that laptop, that person is talking to a few other people in a gentleman's lounge in a small room. It's just, I recognize that the article says that a good faith effort will be asked of, but I personally don't like disappointing the citizenry when it comes to an important issue like this, which involves transparency, preparing good minutes. So I would just say to support the motion for no action. Really, I mean, you'll see plans. Already we've had many meetings on the move to the memorial school. I know we're going to be discussing the memorial school at a different article. Once we make that move, we'll be able to do a lot of this, and we'll be able to do it the right way. The worst thing that I would do as somebody who prepares a lot of committee meeting minutes is to have meeting minutes that are inaccurate, because I'm not a technical professional. I'm a volunteer for a committee. So I would support the motion for no action. Thank you.
On my right, please. And again, this is discussion related to the motion to table Article 39. No action on Article 39, excuse me.
Beverly Carlin, 30 Channel Street. I oppose doing a no action. We need to actually do something. If we're going to wait till we go into the memorial school, that would be great if we actually knew if and when we're actually going into the memorial school. Because we have no idea if we're actually ever going to move there. There's no date, no construction, no plans. So this is getting our boards and committees to be accessible to everyone. And that's what you keep saying you want. But you want to hold it till someday? They're already asking money to do things that we don't know if it's ever really going to happen. They're asking for $20,000 for something you plug into the wall. And they're saying, if something happens and it doesn't work, we're not holding anybody accountable. How can you say that's more than what I can do? So I say, no action. Let's get this vote on and get it done. Thank you.
In the center, please.
Abby Kleeman, 9 Kenton Avenue. Couple of things. First of all, this is a very different motion than the other motion that was already approved. Secondly, I don't understand why there are certain parts of town government that are concerned about everybody understanding everything that's going on. It just baffles me. I would think, yeah, democracy is messy. There are a lot of different opinions, but in order to have a functioning town and a healthy town, people need to be informed. Secondly, in Massachusetts, folks, it is legal as long as you tell the chair of a meeting to record the meeting. Take out your iPhone and record it, and then post it on YouTube. It's very simple, and if we all make a commitment to doing that, then guess what? Every single meeting will be posted for everybody to see.
On my left, please.
Paul Weiss, Commodore Court. I suggest we go forward with this vote because this has to be reviewed by the Mass Attorney General. And if one of these fails, we have the other as a backup. And I disagree that this is not similar. They're very similar. It's just the implementation. And if you implement it, recording the video with text-to-speech, then you minimize the amount of work. So that's just my point. So let's vote.
On my right, please.
Randy Gould, 2 Cushing Street in the Village. I suggest that we vote down this amendment, vote for the gentleman's article, and then do what Jim would do, ask for a reconsideration of 42, and then vote that down. That's how we play the game. And especially where the proponent suggested that you go with this article instead of the one that she had.
Right.
Hi, Rhoda Cadet, 170 Somerset Avenue. I would recommend voting against no action, and this for a different reason than it was mentioned so far. Right now, Town Hall is open 4 days a week. There are often 3 committees going on at the same time, sometimes even more at different times. And so having access to hearing the meeting means you could have access to only one meeting. But if it's recorded, you in fact have access to all the meetings that are going on at any time. So I would recommend against no action. Thank you.
The substitute motion for no action on Article 39 has been pulled by the person who suggested it, so we are no longer under consideration for no action on Article 39. So we are now back to discussion on Article 39, and I guess in the center, please.
Hillary Taverna, 10 Ellis Street. I guess I'll pivot some of my comments now that it was pulled. Yeah, I think, a couple things. This is definitely a different article than the first. So I feel like a lot of things have been very muddied by the attempt to go to no action. And I understand that the order probably should have been done in reverse. But essentially, if we vote this down, it means, yes, we get more access to understand what's happening in these meetings, but you must be in front of a computer, in front of a phone, in front of a TV, to watch them as they're happening. And as many people pointed out, there's several meetings happening at the same time. So, implementing 42 without implementing 39 means we only really get part of the way there. If you are not available at the exact time that these meetings are happening, we don't pass this next one, you're not gonna be able to watch back the recording. So I think that's an important distinction that I feel like got muddied by some of these comments. And then the other thing that I wanted to just end with is a couple of things. One, there's a lot of back and forth about the complicated technology and the costs and a lot of us here have worked in technology fields, myself included, or just in fields that use technology, especially post-COVID, to get your jobs done. It's not difficult. We're not children, we're not dumb. We know how to work this. We don't need to go back and forth about how complicated it is to get this done. It's very simple. Yes, there's a cost, but I think, the last thing I wanted to end on is just, we're about to, we haven't gotten to Article 26, I think it is yet, about the new town hall. The town is about to ask for us for $4 million more for that project. We can't go on for this article for hours about $20,000 for the basic access to technology and to democracy that we all deserve. It's absurd to me that we're having this conversation and that the advisory board has voted against this, along with the town manager. I think it's absurd. And it really is a disappointing message, especially coming back from last year's town meeting. That was my first town meeting. I was very disappointed. I'm disappointed again this year. It's disappointing to see the recommendation for unfavorable for this one. And it feels like, again, it's just sending a strong message to the citizens. So just wanted to call that out. Yeah, so definitely recommend in favor of this this article. Let's just get us all basic access to these meetings. And I think it's surprising to me. I was just saying while sitting and listening to this, I guess just as a side note, but ADA compliance alone, it's shocking to me that this is not like law to require, you know, access, recorded access to public meetings. So vote yes, please.
I'm going to go out of order here because I know that previously Peter indicated he would like to speak on this. He's obviously one of the people who'd be associated with implementing it. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask Peter to go ahead first.
Yes, Peter Seitz, 68 Wyola Road, Hull TV Program Director. And good evening, everyone. I just want to add some information for you to consider. So we have Zoom meetings. I welcome anyone to send me a Zoom meeting. We're happy to post those. I don't get any other than the HRA. And we do have a YouTube channel I just started a few months ago in anticipation of this article. So that's Hull TV Government Meetings. So that's available.
We refrain from applause or booing or whatever during the course of discussion, please. Thank you.
If we have the audio recordings, as this gentleman suggested, we could absolutely post those on our YouTube channel. I'm not going to show an audio recording on television. And to further clarify, the plans for the new town hall include 2 live rooms, and I do believe it will be built before the HRA has a building on it. But so those would be 2 rooms with robotic cameras, 4 robotic cameras, sound system, large screen TV. So we can do those 2 meetings live. Better recording than probably a Zoom. I'm not a fan of Zoom, but it's better than nothing. And then also we'd have the exhibition room for school events or other boards. So we would have the capability to have 3 live stream meetings. But the thing is about this, a lot of with 16 different boards is a processing time. So we'd have to post these meetings. We'd need a Mac laptop to a new one so that we're not tying up our editing equipment. As things stand now, when I do an HRA meeting, which can be very lengthy as we know, I can't edit it. I have to ingest and then upload it. I've always put a credit on the meetings and a copyright. So that takes time, upload it. So there's a cost to that. There's also if we're doing we could add another live meeting. I guess the body, if we want to do live meetings, more in-person live meetings, which I would hope everybody agrees that it is a superior, format to doing a Zoom meeting, because you can actually speak to the people. And I'm not too sure on the owls. The owls is another option. But we don't know how many boards will want to be live, how many will be Zoom. So I would ask for a part-time employee to manage these extra 16 meetings. And also, so I have a price on that. There's a position that I'm aware of in Harwich, and that they're paying $26 to $28 an hour. For that 19 hours a week, that comes down to $25,668. The Mac laptop is $23.99, and and also if we had an employee, we could add a 3rd room that we could record a good quality meeting at the new town hall. And that would, I priced that out on B&H, and that is that have an AV card, a camera, a tripod, 4 microphones, cables, stands, and a mixer. And the total of that, most of it's the camera, $7,358. So if anyone's watched the meetings we do or try to do at the middle school, and we have 1 camera, 1 shotgun mic, they're not very good. We do the best we can, but you're not really getting a feeling that you can hear everybody and see everybody. So if we had the employee in the cart and the laptop, I think that, that would be kind of a minimum to add. The meeting rooms are already funded. That was done in 2024. So there's no cost to that. But we do need an employee to process these 16 meetings and cover other ones in the evening. As they said, they're all in 4 days, a week basically, in the evening. So there's only so many meetings that 2 people, John and I, can do.
Could you wrap up, Peter, when you have a moment, please?
Okay, I've said enough.
I'm going to go back to the young lady who was gracious enough to let Peter go.
Hi, my name is Beth Chapman. I live at 8A Moreland Ave. And I just have one really quick observation. We were told that we don't want to disappoint the citizenry here by using an owl or some less than perfect technology and not producing an ideal version of a meeting that can be listened to or seen. So we should wait until the middle school is built when we can deliver an excellent, high-quality product. And my only question is, we're asking for transparency. Isn't making us wait the bigger disappointment? Because it sure is to me. So I would urge everyone to vote yes and to approve this article.
On my left, please.
John Kilfoyle, 7 James Ave. Can we call the vote?
Motion is made to call the question. Is there a second? It is not debatable. Requires a 2/3 vote. I'm going to do this by a voice vote. All those in favor of calling the question, please indicate by saying aye. Those opposed? It is a vote. The vote will now come on the motion for favorable action on Article 39 by Michael Marlowe regarding recording and public access to open meetings. The voting is now open. The voting will be open for 30 seconds. If you're in favor of this, you should vote in the affirmative. If you're opposed to this, you should vote in the negative. Voting is now open. The voting will close in 5 seconds. The voting is now closed. By a vote of 148 to 55, Article 39 is voted favorable action.
Mr. Moderator, I move to reconsider Article 42.
Motion made to reconsider Article 42. Is there a second? So motion made and second for reconsideration of Article 42. Would you care to speak to that, Mr. Gould?
Just following the lead of the proponents of this article, she has suggested that we approve the previous article, and then vote hers down because the previous article was supposed to be better. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay, so a vote for reconsideration on Article 42 would really be a two-step process. If you vote for reconsideration and it passes by a 2/3 vote, then we could open discussion again on Article 42. At that point in time, I'm not sure who's going to do what, but it would afford the opportunity for somebody to do something. So is there any discussion on the reconsideration? In the center, please.
Celia Nolan, 26 Alsada Road. This is actually kind of what I was going to say. I think it could work, though, in the opposite order. So the procedural remedy that I was going to suggest is, assuming if this body wants to pass both of these articles but kind of reconcile on the fly, is that we could, so the one that's being considered is the one that's the live stream, is that correct? I don't have my warrant in front of me for the numbers.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's the live stream. So my suggestion would be reconsider, vote it no, then I would like to reconsider the one regarding recording, and then offer an amended motion just to add record and live stream. And then it would be one article that we could pass that would include both of them.
You may have an opportunity to do that, but right now the motion in front of the body is for reconsideration, and that's debate, either a yes vote or a no vote. on
Yes,
that.
so
Okay, so
I
you
would.
can hold your
I would-
comments until
so
that
I would hope
transpires.
I would hope that the body would reconsider this question, vote no, and if you do, I will be reconsidering the other one and offering a substitute motion.
Okay, any additional discussion on the vote to reconsider?
Yes. Susan Vermilia, 17 East Street. So the vote was affirmative on both of those. And so to reconsider means that we would put at risk Article 42. And the difference between the two articles, the one that Mike has was the recording of the meetings and putting them out there on Hull Cable within 7 days. Article 42, which is being considered for reconsideration, that article simply says, while you're recording those meetings, have them live streamed so people at home can hear them. And so there's not a big difference. I agree, Celia. I thought, the same. I thought of putting them together. The reason I didn't is because I didn't know if the live stream one would pass. And so the live stream one, it's live streaming the meeting. It's not having people participate from home at all. And so it's just being able to hear that meeting while it's being run. And so I urge you to not reconsider. They both passed. They're both going to be a great addition to our town at a total cost of $20,000 at the most. And our cable person came up and spoke on the infrastructure costs are already there. And so it's capped off at 20, which is $2 a person. So please vote if maybe you're going to pull it out, but let's not reconsider 42. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator,
You have a point of order, Mr. Gould?
I rescind my motion.
The motion of reconsideration has been rescinded. So we have... Point of order, yes.
Arthur Augenson, 128 Kadish Ave. I've got a question. In the past, all the years I've been coming to town meeting, and that's more than I really realize when I think about my age, but anyhow, you used to reconsider something so that it couldn't come up again at a later in the meeting. Now, and you'd reconsider it, and that would prevent a group at the end of the meeting when half the place is empty.
All right, Mr. Augustine, but there's no motion in front, so I'm not sure what you're speaking to.
Well, I guess I'm asking a question to clarify when a motion to reconsideration protects an article that's been passed so that it can't be changed later
Motion for
on.
reconsideration has to be made in the same night as the motion to be reconsidered has been passed. There is motions that are made to reconsider because they think there's new information or whatever that could convince voters to take a different approach. There are occasions when motions of reconsideration are made in a defensive manner.
Right, that's what I recall, I guess. And I wasn't sure when it comes up for reconsideration, whether you should vote for it or against it.
It's not coming up. It was rescinded.
Okay.
So we have no vote for reconsideration in
Okay,
front of us.
so both of these cannot be changed in any way at any future meeting or this meeting?
They could be reconsidered at this meeting, but if they're not reconsidered at this meeting, they cannot be reconsidered in the future.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next article, please. Article 43. Article 43 is a citizen's petition by Susan Vermilia. Move repeal of the May 2018 annual town meeting warrant article 11. Move that the town vote to repeal warrant article 11 of the May 2018 annual town meeting in its entirety as set forth below. Further move that this repeal shall apply prospectively only and shall not affect the validity of any actions lawfully taken prior to its adoption, including any alterations, discontinuances, abandonments, conveyances, or ratifications previously approved or executed pursuant to said article or otherwise authorized by law. Further move that upon repeal, any further alteration, discontinuance, abandonment, or conveyance of portions of Nantasket Avenue mentioned in the below article shall be governed solely by the applicable provisions of Massachusetts general laws, including without limitation chapters 82 and 40, and any other applicable statutory authority as may be required. Article 11, May 18th, 2000 town meeting is below. To see if the town will vote to alter or discontinue or to abandon portions of Nantasket Avenue located in the Hull Redevelopment Authority area, generally between 5th Street and Water Street, and or ratify and confirm any prior alteration, discontinuance, or abandonment, and to authorize or ratify any actions of the Board of Selectmen to convey or grant use of all or a portion of the town's right, title, and interest in the same to such parties as approved by the Board of Selectmen under such terms and conditions as the Board of Selectmen may deem prudent and beneficial to the town or take any other action relative thereto. Is there a second? Hearing no second. Didn't think that was going to happen. On the motion, please.
Is the...
Bring up that presentation, George.
Hi, everyone. Susan Vermilia, 17 East Street again. This is my last one, and I hope this one will be a lot shorter than the first one. I'm here to talk to you about Article 43, which is the repeal of Article 11 from May of 2018. Sorry, I have to lean over here. Let me just move this up. This is Article 11, and I'm going to refer back to it. This article began in February of 2018, came to special town meeting, and at that time it was denied. It came back in May of 2018, and after a long debate, it was approved. What this article did is it gave special authorization to the Select Board to make property transfers in the area of the HRA between Phipps and Water Street without having to come back to town meeting for a vote. Part of the reason for that is because there were plans at that time for some heavy development on the HRA land, and they wanted to be able to really work with developers to develop that land. What my article does today is it simply repeals that special authorization. That special authorization is not the normal way that land transfers happen in Massachusetts. Under Massachusetts law, I think it was 82 that was on here, Land transfers happen at town meeting. We see that when we do eminent domain. We see that when we are abandoning property. And so if this was just a road transfer, the select board would have some, as the transportation commissioners wouldn't need to come to town meeting for this. But it did come. It was very hot topic at that time. And what ended up in that meeting is we gave that special authorization to the select board. So one of the things on this article that I want to bring back to is the master plan survey that came out, and people having some distrust in government and all of this. This is sort of another transparency article because if you repeal this special authorization that happened, and this is only repealing anything going forward, if anything happened since then, it's not going to go back and change anything. This is a go forward article. Bringing that kind of vote, any kind of land transfers in that area back to the voters is really where, in my opinion, it needs to be. Our select board, are great. They have that authorization right now. But if we could bring that back to the town for authorization for land conveyances, as it says in here, or to ratify any actions of the Board of Selectmen to convey or grant use of all or a portion of the town's right, title, and interest in same to such parties as approved by the Select Board under such terms and conditions as the Board of Selectmen may deem prudent and beneficial to the town. So if they think it's a good thing, they will go ahead and with these transfers. And so all I'm saying is that let's bring it back to the voters if there's any decisions to be made in that area. So, and that's it. And just on a final thing, because this is a repeal of an article, I think it can get a little confusing. I've been at town meetings where repeals, people don't know if it's a yes or no vote. So I'm going to hold this up. Please vote yes. Please vote yes to repeal this article, and we'll bring this authorization back to the voters. Thank you.
Advisory board, please.
Sure. Jason Frady, Chair of the Advisory Board. We voted to recommend unfavorable action on this article, partly because there were, it's maybe kind of unknown whether or not the Select Board took certain actions or codified in grants of property to the HRA land for streets that went through that property. And so I think just so if they haven't made those, if they haven't acted in that way to grant, especially the parcels or the streets in the middle of the HRA land back to the HRA, now we have, once again, another, we're going to basically put those easements back in place. It's unclear what the Select Board did to convey those back, or at what point in time they conveyed those back. So maybe the HRA knows what happened there, and I would hate to say, okay, now we're going to repeal that, and now we have multiple plots of land over there rather than one, a contiguous piece of property. So at number two, I think there's this idea that somehow this was done wrong because it was special. It's just the process. When the town wants to discontinue use of a property, it hands it back to the Select Board, gives them the authorization to do it. That's just how it works. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the process that you go through. So any idea that town meeting did something wrong or the Select Board did something wrong in seeking this is incorrect, and the voters of town meeting gave the authorization to Select Board. That's just how it works. So I don't think, if you think that this was not transparent or it was done wrong, I don't think that's the case. I think the case is you just want to do this, and I would think about whether this is really the right thing for the town to pull this back and keep pulling back authorization from the select board. Thanks.
On my left, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bartley Kelly, 276 Atlantic Ave. I am a member of the HRA. I'm speaking as an individual. I'm speaking as an individual that's been involved in this process of trying to redevelop the entire strip of Nantasket Beach for a number of years. I've been involved as a board member, as a private citizen, and I can tell you this is a step backwards. They're trying to repeal a vote that authorizes the road change, that authorizes the select board to effectuate land transfers that would help to make the road changes. These road changes didn't come from the HRA. It wasn't because there was a big proposed development on the HRA. These road changes came out of a joint planning effort that included the Mass Development, the HRA, the Town of Hull, and the DCR, and it goes back to 2010. We were looking at the strip of Nantasket Beach between Water Street and Atlantic Hill, and including the HRA from 5th Street to Atlantic Hill. But from my point, between Water Street and Atlantic Hill, there was 23 vacant storefronts, 13 vacant buildings, largely dilapidated, largely underutilized, and they were looking for ways to revitalize that area. And out of that planning effort, there was consultants hired, there was public charrettes, and those public charrettes and the meeting information that they got from business owners and looking at the strip and looking at the road design, they came to the conclusion that the road layout is bad for business, it's unsafe, and you got people trying to cross two-lane highways where people are buzzing through there. They're in a crosswalk. If you're on the side of the road and there's two cars coming at you, one car stops, the car on the further lane doesn't see you. You're stepping out into the road. We've got cars coming out to Water Street at Shore Drive, taking a right into oncoming traffic. Rollover accidents happened 2 years ago. Your car's coming down past Mezzomari, taking a right into oncoming traffic. Happens almost every day. So this didn't happen because of the HRA, and whether the HRA gets developed or not, this makes sense. The two-way road design will free up approximately 2 acres along the HRA property. It will create 2 or more acres of open space along that property. Between Water Street and 5th Street, we have 6 lanes for traffic. The rest of that area has 4. It's a waste of space. These people talk about trying to create open space and trying to get open space. We're getting open space. This is a poison pill to prevent development. Not only that, it's also designed to make sure that the town doesn't move forward. We've garnered $400,000 plus worth of grants from Mass Development to do the design work. The DCR participated in the road studies. They paid half for the road studies, cost $50,000. The HRA paid the other half. We also got an $880,000 grant from the federal government to do the design changes. We're working with the DCR right now. They're looking resiliency for the whole Nantasket Beach. This opens up funding sources for resiliency, road designs, sidewalks, bike lanes, paths, and it will open up a green emerald necklace around that whole area. Whether the HRA gets not developed or not doesn't matter with the two-way roads. This is a poison pill put forth by a group that is anti-development, and they've done nothing but try to stop anything from going forward on the HRA. 76 properties were taken away from private property owners by eminent domain. Something needs to go there. We need the economic development, and we need to pay for the public safety buildings and the other things we need to do. What that development is, we don't know yet. There's a lot of different ideas. One of them was for a Ferris wheel, $5 million Ferris wheel. Need a zoning change, but I'm going to tell you, that would look like a rusting hulk after about 3 years. That's not going to attract people. We're on the world's longest driveway. Nantasket Ave is a dead-end road. You either build an attraction or you do something nice and bring more people to Hull. Thank you very much.
On my right, please.
James Canavan, 116 Manamet Ave. I guess we should be questioning the vote that happened in 1961 to take those 72 properties, but we can't. I stood up, opposed this article back in 2018, so I stand in support of this article that's being proposed today. And it's primarily because of the two-way streets. You know, we're looking at the way this is, and this is dumping things into neighborhoods the way it's going. I think that creates bigger safety issues. If you have traffic issues, you deal with them. So I stand in support of this repeal, and I hope you vote yes.
In the center, please.
Jake Valancourt, 1224 Avalon Drive. I actually have a question. I listened to the advisory board's recommendation, and the part that I'd hope that our town attorney can unpack for us a bit is the potential legal risk if we do rescind this for the select board. Is there any legal risk for the select board of the town, or would it not be retroactive? So essentially, if we did vote to repeal it, they would have protections for anything they did during that time where it was in force, and then they would just have to abide by the new status quo if it passed tonight. That's what I'm trying to understand before I make a vote.
If you care to.
Yes, Mr. Moderator, through you to the speaker, I'm not currently familiar with the discussion at the advisory board that you were referencing, but I will try my best to answer your question. The way the motion is phrased, it's to further move that this repeal shall apply prospectively only. I take that to mean that any transactions, conveyances, other legal instruments that were exchanged or recorded would be unaffected. I would have great concern if the implementation of whatever town meeting decided to do affected third parties that had vested rights already. I don't know the history and details of what transpired during the relevant time periods here. That's not been made clear to me, but that would be my concern. The way this is phrased, though, it's to apply prospectively only towards actions that were not taken. And so hopefully that mitigates some of that risk.
Thank you.
On my left, please.
Abby Kleeman, 9 Kenton Avenue. I'd like to address some of the previous comments. This is not an article proposing anything having to do with anti-development. It is not economic development, not anti-economic development. It is not anti-housing. It is not anti-business. This article is about returning the power to make this decision back to the people. And although I have only lived here for the last 6 years, in that time and since I've joined the planning board, I've learned a lot about the two-way road project and the conversations with DCR. Unfortunately, most of what I've learned has had to be through records requests from the state because, again, transparency, it has been incredibly difficult to get information about the conversations with DCR around the two-way road. And I'm on the planning board. Some interesting things have come out of those document requests, including letters from the DCR, including one in, I think it was 2024, that basically said they were not, in fact, in support of the two-way road because they had resiliency concerns. This was not, in fact, a suggestion by DCR to move forward on this. They are working with us on it because they know that it's a priority for the town, but they still have concerns. And yet this is being marketed to the citizens and also to other parts of the state as an already done deal. I have concerns about that, and you should all have concerns about that because, again, getting back to transparency, the power to make this decision should rest with the people, not with the select board, especially because so much of this is, in fact, happening behind closed doors and is not being done transparently. Thank you.
The town manager standing in the comment.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Just to address those last questions and points, the town is in current discussions with DCR, and I want to make clear, the November 24th letter from DCR was not that they were in opposition to the two-way road project. We have been trying to work with them. That project is currently at 25% design. It needs input from DCR and DCR's engineers to get it to 100% design. Part of the reason DCR was not ready at that point in time is because they were working on their climate adaptation and resiliency study, which was not ready. It now is, and to support this would be exceptionally short-sighted. The two-way road project may have initiated as a project supporting development. It has since evolved into a project that supports resiliency, climate adaptation, and transportation safety. DCR, I don't believe the adaptation report, although it's a public document, is out on their website yet. That's out of our hands. They are waiting for the website to be fully ADA accessible, is our understanding. But it is, if it's not already posted, it will be shortly. But to keep in mind, again, to not just be short-sighted and listen to misinformation, there is a lot of good that will come from this project. And even if it's at 100% design, there is still significant opportunity, and there will be for community input on it. I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. To my right, please.
Evan Pestone, Roosevelt Ave. First, I'd like to ask the question, since we keep talking about retroactive and we don't know if the select board has already transferred any of this land out. Is there anybody from the town that can answer whether or not the select board has made any transfers since 2018?
I could answer that. There has not been any land transfers. It authorized the selectmen to be able to make the land transfers if and when the road changes came.
Thank you. So it doesn't seem like we need to worry about that. Going forward, I think all we're asking here is that the town have a say. And I hear the town manager saying, this is not going to prevent us from having a say. So then why is the town manager suggesting that we vote against this? I think the town voted to take this property back in the 60s by eminent domain. The town people, and that happened at town meeting, right? Why would we not have another town meeting vote to decide what happens to the land for the future? And to use a word like short-sighted is quite ridiculous when what we're trying to establish here is that we actually think about it more and we ask the people that live in the town what they want to do. So I would be in favor of repealing this.
In the center, please.
Lisa French, 47 Rockaway. One thing that I want to say, I've followed the HRA meetings for years now, and especially done a lot of research on the HRA and on this transfer of land. One thing that I noted, I've read a lot of archive meeting minutes from the select board over the past, and I have not found any meeting, conversation, any document that shows that the select board thought it was a good idea to transfer this land to go forward with changing the roadways. They had an opportunity, and over again, like sensible people, the members of the select board had a conversation saying, for one, they said, there were concerns. We don't know what the residents think about this. This seems like an awfully big decision. Whenever the HRA came to the select board, they came repeatedly to the select board, and sometimes they didn't even present anything. They just came there, and the select board said, well, you're not showing us anything. What do you want to do? And the select board just smartly said, we don't know what you're planning. We're not sure this is a good idea. We don't know what the residents think about this because you haven't asked for their input. They said this over and over again. And in these years since 2018, the select board did not transfer that land. They had the authority to do it, but they decided not to do it because they didn't have enough information and they didn't have enough public input, which was a wonderful thing that they thought that. So I like what the young man just said. The issue here is this is a perfect example the petition that I proposed would have dealt with this issue here. The process has gone forward for this two-way road reconfiguration without enough input from the public in the process and conversations in the public eye for elected boards, select board and planning board, should have been discussing this reconfiguration with the citizens there and the citizens saying what they thought and having a conversation way before anyone came up with money to create a design. And now it's been 25% for a while. It was scheduled to be done last year. It was actually scheduled to be done without the public really being involved, and even the select board. They have not been shown this. This board has not been shown this two-way road. They have not discussed it in public. So important to consider.
To my left, please.
Thank you. Adrienne Paquin, 43 Edgewater Road, member of the Redevelopment Authority, speaking as a private citizen. I rise in support of this article. As both a citizen and a member of the HRA, I have been told time and time again by town employees, the town approved the two-way road plan at the 2018 meeting. If you look at the text of that warrant article, did the town approve the two-way road plan at that meeting? Also, because, I know how to have fun. I actually watched that meeting earlier this evening. I watched the discussion. I saw Jim Canavan. I saw many of you, actually. And we were actually told, I actually wasn't there. You were told by the HRA chair that we actually had no say in the two-way road plan. That is stated in the meeting. That if voting no on this article would not stop the two-way road plan. To quote Bob DeCoste, the chair of the HRA at that time, quote, "This is not a discussion about the two-way road plan." To quote Bartley Kelly, member of the HRA, quote, "This article basically gives the right to the selectmen, doesn't force the selectmen, but gives the right to the selectmen to negotiate with the HRA and a developer to make this development happen." This is what we voted on. So I would urge us to repeal this because time and time again, myself and many other citizens are said, you voted for this. You voted for the two-way road plan. And I say, we didn't. Thank you.
Could I respond, Mr. Moderator?
Seeing you were specifically mentioned, I feel it's appropriate. Go ahead.
Adrian Paquin is exactly right. I did say that. And if you look at the text of that vote, it authorizes the selectmen to make the transfers. It does not require them to make the transfers. That was said repeatedly. And repealing it puts it back, going back through town meeting and everything else. We've gone through the 25% design. We've gone at $1.4 million for design. We're building resiliency into it. And it authorizes the select board. The select board would have to make the land transfer. This is repealing their authorization. I don't remember saying, and I don't think I've ever said that the town meeting vote authorized the two-way road. It authorized the selectmen to make the land transfers. That vote was overwhelming. It was 124 to 37.
Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Kelly. On my right, please.
So I've tried really hard to listen and make, this is Beth Chapman, 8A Moreland Ave. I've tried really hard to listen and make my notes, so they're a little disorganized, and I apologize for that. The first thing I'd like to say is it's really interesting to me. I've owned a house in Hull for 18 years, and I have spent more and more and more time here. But this is my first full winter here, and it's my first town meeting, and it's very exciting. Anyway, as a first timer, I can't speak to these things that have happened before my time, but it's clear that there is a lot of a lot of people remember things differently. I guess I can say that. And I have no idea what actually happened. But we have Massachusetts general laws as kind of a baseline standard. And we've made an exception with this law that's currently on the books here. And I understand at the time there was a reason for it. But I'm not sure that we're in exactly the same place that we were then. And this is not a question for me to answer because I would have to really do more research than I can do while I'm trying to listen to everybody else. But I would suggest that people think about that. And I understand that the exception that we made is the procedure for making land transfers. I accept that. My question is, if this is the procedure for doing this, how long do these bylaws stay on the books typically? I have no ideas, but if they're supposed to be permanent, then they would supersede general law, and that doesn't really seem to make any sense to me at all. Like, I don't understand that. But so I'm just going to put that out there. My last thing is to say that if the two-way road is such a great idea, and I've heard things on both sides, either way, what is the harm in allowing the citizens of Hull to vote on what happens in their town? I feel like we should have some say. And so I would urge everybody to vote yes to repeal this bylaw. Thank you.
In the center, please.
Hi, my name is Bob Paul. I live at 185 Spring Street in Hull. I'm an architect and I'm a planner. I went to all these meetings about the two-way roads, and I thought it was a really interesting idea, and people are going to not like that, but it was a great economic development idea. It was a great way to open up some land. It made a lot of sense to me. I've tried to walk across those roads, and it's crazy. I don't understand how we can go back in time and question something that we spent a lot of time on back then, thinking about and voting on, to just all of a sudden pick it out of somewhere for someone's agenda, to be able to just rethink it all. It just seems terrible to me, because it's just like there's so much work was done. Those meetings were very transparent. I went to them. The studies were online. I find people criticizing the transparency hard. I'm on so many committees. It's really insulting in a way, but it really is. It was there. It was interesting. It was voted on. I don't understand how we can go back in time now, and just because someone wants to put a kibosh on some development. I think that's really, Bart said it, I think it's really the underlying reason why this is happening. But that's my points.
Thank you. On my left, please.
Mr. Moderator, can I respond to that?
On my left, please.
Cindy Borges, Nantasket Avenue. The point of if there was any legal obligations came up, that as if we didn't know, but that's been asked of the HRA attorney, and as of the last time that she spoke on this, there were 0 legal obligations for the HRA in any way. So this would be a good time, I believe, to repeal this, because this is from 2018. We're in 2026, and it's still a really hot topic. The whole HRA land is very important to every citizen in this town. To put it in the hands of 5 board members, I don't think was a good idea then, and I don't think it's a good idea now. I'd like to just read quickly from a letter dated February 1st, 2016. It was from TEC that did the two-way road to Mr. Bartley Kelly. His evaluation of the two-way traffic flow on Nantucket Beach Hull, Mass. Traffic Feasibility and Circulation Study. This study is the result of a joint effort between Mass DCR, the Town of Hull Redevelopment Authority, to analyze the possibility of converting the current one-way flow road system in the vicinity of Nantasket Beach to a two-way flow road system. The partnership retained Nelson Nygaard and their subcommittee, and their subconsultant TEC to conduct the study. Okay, this was promoted to promote beach access, which is why the DCR supported it. It's said building on previous initiatives and through ongoing meetings, the HRA, DCR, and others have developed a vision for Nantasket Beach. This was not a Town of Hull originally done product. Okay, at that time, Chris Diorio, our town planner, was a consultant to the HRA board. Up until 2023, that was his role. Okay, I think this was taken out of the hands of the people. It was meant for a specific project back in 2018. That project has not happened, and so now we're just going to keep this on here in case the next project comes up with the HRA, then they're ready to act on it, and I don't think that's fair. I think at the time they did have a plan in place, and that's why they were trying to promote this. I don't think that is the case at all anymore, and I think we should repeal this. Thank you.
A point of order, Mr. Moderator.
Who has the point of order?
Mr. Moderator, the town manager a few minutes ago accused the citizens petitioner of presenting misinformation.
Excuse me, Mr. Valencourt, what is the point of order?
I'm reading it to you.
Get to your point very quickly, please, because I'm doubtful.
Understood. Under our own rules of decorum, that accusation should be substantiated or withdrawn. I respectfully ask the moderator either to require the town manager to identify the specific statement alleged to be inaccurate or to rule the characterization of out of order.
Thank you for your point of order.
Thank you.
Off to my right, please.
Michael Whitney, 115 Manamet Ave, and I rise in support of this article. I'm the guy who wrote the letter to the Hull Times a couple weeks ago, and I want to remind everybody of this one point. Just because we got a grant to do something doesn't make it a good idea. I also have two other points. This two-way road isn't just through the HRA land. It's going to go all the way down to Mesamere. That's going to be a parking lot with delivery trucks. What's that going to do to the few businesses we have here in Hull? I've already told Quintino, who cuts my hair, I'm not coming anymore if this happens because I won't be able to get to it. It's that simple. And then finally, the other area to think about is if we leave this law in the books, it does not put this in the hand of the select board. It puts it in the power in the hands of 3 people who may or may not agree with the will of all people. So for that reason, I think I support this article, and we need to get the power back in the hands of the people. Thank you.
In the center, please.
Bernadette Rafter is 6 Harold Place. I just have a couple of points I'd like to make. We're not saying that what the HRA is doing is wrong. We're just saying things have changed. We live in a different environment now. I mean, if we just look at coming down George Washington Boulevard, I mean, the development that's going on in this town is just overwhelming. Thank you. Most of the voters, through survey, have said they would like to see the HRA open. I think as a solution, potentially, in exchange for the two-way roadway, what about a light, a timed light that, I know you're laughing. Oh, okay. But, I mean, there are ways to work around this. It doesn't have, I had a friend that got hit by a car when she was a kid going across the 2 lanes. But had there been a light, it could have made a difference. Maybe it will cause some congestion, but I think if it's timed and if it's planned correctly, it could work. And then I just want to say, times have changed. We're not the same town we were 70 years ago. We're a new town. We have new families moving in. We don't have anything, and I know you hear this all the time. We don't have anything for our kids. What do we have? The one thing we have that keeps us as a community is the bonfire. That's it. But neither here nor there. I just want to say that I don't want to lose 10 acres of land just to gain 2 acres on that strip. I think this would be a very good idea to pass this.
On my left, have you spoken on this previously?
I have.
You have. On my right, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mike Lyons, 12 Eastern Ave. There was mention earlier about 2010, the condition of Nantasket Ave, how many vacant storefronts there were, and the inability for business to survive. And it's, obviously never easy in a resort town in the wintertime to survive. But I opened my business on the corner of Bay and Nantasket Ave in 2016, 10 years ago. And there was a lot of empty storefronts up and down that strip. But there's not anymore. That's pretty much filled in, and there's been businesses leaving, and the spots get taken immediately, and up and down that whole place, all the way up to Mesamar. Businesses are doing pretty well. Parking is always an issue. But if you made it two-way, parallel parking would be impossible, because it would just back up traffic. Right now, you can go around the car that's trying to parallel park. So trying to park in front of a business on a two-way road is very difficult. I've been in that location for 10 years, and I've been, I'm looking at the HRA land. That's my view, basically. And so there's a lot of conversation that happens. And no one has ever, from the town or the HRA or anywhere else, asked my opinion about a two-way road plan and what it would do for my business. So I'm just saying, that it's going to benefit or hurt either way. No one has asked me a question about it. Thank you.
In the center, please.
Pam Marlowe, Old Colony Road. Move to question, please.
Motion has been made to call the question. It requires a two-thirds vote. Is there a second to the motion?
Mr. Moderator? Mr. Moderator, I've been waiting to be able to respond to an attack that I was attacked, and I would like to respond to that.
The question has been called.
Mr. Moderator.
That's unfair.
You allowed a response from the HRA chair, but you haven't allowed a response from the proponent of the article.
The question has been called. It requires a two-thirds vote.
Well, I spoke up earlier, and you didn't hear me, and that's why I got in line.
Well, I'm glad you're in line, but the question has been called. The question has been called and seconded. That ends debate, and this is not debatable. The vote will come on calling into question. If you want to continue discussion, then you should vote in the negative. If you'd like to move forward to a vote on this issue, then you should vote in the positive. All those in favor of calling a question, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? It is a vote. We'll now come on the vote on Article 43 for the repeal of the May 2018 annual town meeting warrant 11. If you're in favor of the repeal of the annual town meeting warrant 11, then you should vote in the favor of this. If you are not in favor of repealing it, then you should vote in the negative. Voting is now open. Voting will be open for 30 seconds. Voting will close in 5 seconds. Voting is now closed. By a vote of 129 to 61, Favorable action on the repeal of the May 28th annual town meeting warrant article 11.
Mr. Moderator, DJ Simon, 11 D Street. I make a motion to adjourn since it's after 10:30.
Motion to adjourn has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, the meeting will reconvene tomorrow evening at 7 p.m.